What's going on, guys? It's a Tuesday. John here with you. It's May 5th, 2026. I just got the message from Alec Nava. I think he's going to be free. So I'm going to bring him in to co host. And regardless of anyone else who joins, if Cooper does join sometime this week, he can get in as well. So for the Colorado Avalanche, they are 5-0 so far in the postseason. Sounds like this, head coach by Jared Bednar, Nathan MacKinnon, Artturi, Lehkonen, Marty Necas, Stephen Cale, Makar. Brock Nelson, Gabe Landeskog, Vel Nichushkin, Brett Kulak, Sam Malinski. I saw on the pairings today that Nazem Kadri is in the bottom six. He's in the third line with Ross Colton and Nick Waugh, and then Jack Drury with Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor will be the Michigan Blankenberg in the mix with all his ads in front of him. I can't see who the third line defenseman is. I apologize there. As it is Scott Wedgwood will be in goal. And for John Hynes and the Minnesota Wild, they won their last series. It was a little bit tighter against the Dallas Stars, but they're starting on the wrong foot against Colorado in a 9-6 loss. He has 15 goals. Ryan Hartman, Kirill, Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello with Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber. Daniela Urov, Marcus Johansson, Matt Boldy with Jacob Middleton and Jared Spurgeon. Michael McCarron, Yakov Trenin, Vlad Tarasenko with Damon Hunt and Zach Bogosian. The back end defense, Nico Sturm, Marcus Foligno. Nick Foligno will be the fourth line. And Philip Gustafson should get the start today. And just to clarify, now that I can see Nick Blankenberg and Brent Burns will be the third line defense for Colorado. Alec, it is good to see you. Again, this is only my second game covered. The first one would have gave me a headache. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a defensive effort in game two simply because we have to.
Yeah, good to be back here, John. Finally, the semester is over, and now we're back here together again. The fact that we have a 9-6 final score in game one, good for entertainment value, but it's going to drive coaches crazy. if the series goes on like the way game one did, this is a series that coaches are going to hate. This is more going to be a defensive battle between the two teams now that we expect more. As the series works on, both opponents are going to be more used to one another, and the defense is going to up their game. We can't have a repeat of game one if we're expecting a defensive battle.
No, we can't. And I will say this, and you might be right about it too, in the sense of whoever gets out of this series, maybe things get settled down a little bit more when you're thinking about Anaheim and Vegas, because I don't think those two teams can match up with the offense of these two teams, if we're being completely honest. Although you never know what happens as you get later into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I mean, this is a series I was looking forward to for a long time. Game one certainly provided a lot of intrigue. I mean, a 9-6 final, we don't often see that. It was Quinn Hughes. You found out every single reason why Bill Guerin ended up picking him up at the deadline, and the Avalanche probably look as good right now as they have since, what, 2022?
And they have every reason for Bill Guerin to pick up Quinn Hughes from Vancouver back at earlier in the season. He just set the franchise record for most points for a defenseman. That record must be a little depressing when you think about it, but nonetheless, it's good to have a franchise caliber defenseman like Quinn Hughes on your team, immediately boosting the offense. Because Minnesota's more known as a defensive team for a while, now they can be an offensive team.
I know this is going to be an easy question, Alec, but after what happened with Jesper Wallstedt in game one, I think it makes sense to go to Gustafson in game two, correct?
Yeah, you think so. Give Wallstedt a breather game to refocus and rethink himself. Get himself back up to speed before this goes back to game three of Minnesota on the 9th, which, quite honestly, the scheduling kind of doesn't make sense. Before 3 days of rest?
Yeah, that does get a little crazy. It is a Tuesday, then you go all the way to the Saturday side. So you're absolutely right. I didn't know that as far as the scheduling work. What we do know is we have Cale Makar versus Quinn Hughes, two of the best defensemen in the world going at it. And when I was looking at some of Minnesota's particulars in the regular season and into this game, they got quite a bit of 40 goal scorers and plenty of 20 goal scorers. I mean, Vlad Tarasenko has had a little bit of a resurgence as well. I mean, he scored a ridiculous goal the other night in that loss. So Minnesota's got a lot of depth. They can certainly find a way to win game two, but as Alec and I said, it's got to get done more so on the defensive end. And Scott Wedgwood, I mean, he gave up 6 goals, but he hasn't lost yet in the postseason, so he's going to get the start.
There's no reason to turn away from Wedgwood at the moment. He's the hotter of the two goaltenders between him and Mackenzie Blackwood heading into the postseason, as per the stats. A 921 save percentage versus 904 save percentage. That's no knock on Blackwood. He's a good goaltender in his own right. Just he's not the hotter one between the two.
Yeah, you have a luxury, as Alec mentioned, between both. I'm really excited for this one. Get a chance to get my second matchup going. The other matchup I'm really looking forward to in the East again is Montreal and Buffalo. I mean, Montreal won the game the other day with just 9 shots on goal, and Colorado had that many in goals. So there is just some particulars there that are pretty interesting. It's Nathan MacKinnon now on the left side board. It's the cerulean and maroon will get this one up and down the ice, going from right to left as Minnesota will chip it in. They have the green pants and the mix of the striping and white jerseys. Here's a spin for Kirill. Kaprizov throws it back to the point. Shot goes up high. Brock Faber was trying to get a screen in front as it works back in behind the end boards. Minnesota, I'm a little bit less familiar with as the years go on, so I might stumble over a couple names. I apologize if that happens. As Artturi, Lehkonen will throw this back to Devon Toews, and we'll start again from right to left. Colorado still getting their offensive reinforcements going here as Toews will get some more puck possession. Pass across the left wing. Good body contact knocks Nelson off the puck. And John Hynes' squad will take this one from left to right. Here's a contest. And across the backhand, as this will be spun around. Now, Landeskog takes a hit. Again, as Alec and I always mention, it's good to see him back out on the ice. He's been thriving so far in the playoffs for Colorado. As Nichushkin, he's one of those guys that needs to pick it up in the playoffs. As Johansson, when I'm getting this puck ahead, it's thrown in an open corner, and this will be forced to be played by Wedgwood. Will hold.
One question we want to know is how will Minnesota fare without Joe Eriksson back? He's their top defensive forward on this lineup. And they did get a lot of offense in game one. The one thing that Colorado will take is that they didn't get Minnesota's big three to score a lot, even though Quinn Hughes had a 3.9. Kirill Kaprizov had just 1 assist.
And you're right about Joel Eriksson with his defense. I do think he's got more to give in the offensive end, but he kind of does everything. He can play across all lines and dominate on the penalty kill. So I'll have to see how that ends up working out for Minnesota because they're going to need all hands on deck. This was a great pass out in front, but I guess it got sticked away as it was Foligno now trying to keep this alive at the line. Off the back skate and no tripping call. As Colorado now tries to just chip and chase this off the one-on-one, it bounces up and out of play at 18:07.
I'm admittedly behind, so I didn't see the missed tripping call, but we know about last game with Cale Makar. He didn't play as much as he wanted to because he was not cold in the first period. He finished playing 17-11 of time on ice, and he did end up getting 2 goals and assists. So his impact was still felt. And yes, that was a missed tripping call against on Quinn Hughes, who was tripped up on the play. I don't know how the refs missed that.
That's what I thought on the back skate. Again, you talk about that Cale Makar hit. He had a skate up in the area, body position and going the wrong way. You're lucky not to take a blade to the face on top of that as well as Brett Kulak as back-end line support. Jack Drury out there with Logan O'Connor. It's line 4. You had a lot of former Carolina Hurricanes in the mix as well, and Edmonton Oiler now and Brett Kulak. Put this around the end boards. Again, that team's knocked out. Colorado's still playing. Alec and I can talk about that a little more in the intermission as far as the draft lottery results as well. As Foligno will watch this one go back and off the end boards. Good stick chop there. Colorado will steal, but Minnesota there to clean it up. To the left side red line, here's a slap shot from about 80. This will be canceled off by part of the lumberyard and Scott Wedgwood. Kulak now. 1 touch and across the left wing. Good skate out here for Nathan MacKinnon. Off the drop pass. Backhand scores! Just like that. Colorado's got the lead.
Great hustle plays, and Nathan MacKinnon is known for hustle. He's one of the fastest players in the NHL as far as speed tracking can go. And we know about a lineup change. It's not Zach Bogosian, but rather Jeff Petrie. We remember that it was just 40 years ago, which MacKinnon scored one of the best playoff goals that we remember against the Blues. What a backhander off the feed from Nathan MacKinnon on a great centering feed.
That's Marty Necas from MacKinnon who got that one all going. Kulak going to get an assist. And I think I got a development here very quickly because I think the ESPN thing might be ahead on the box. They said Minnesota scored, and I haven't even seen it yet. So this must be it here. The break off the face-off, and this one is in. It's Kirill Kaprizov. The ESPN thing in front saw the future. I guess that's from Hartman and Zuccarello. This camera is going to cut. It's going to be abrupt. And 6 seconds later, Minnesota makes it 1-1. Unbelievable.
We talk about quick strikes. MacKinnon to Necas proved down on a quick elevation up the middle. The top line for Minnesota strikes rather quickly. It was Kaprizov all alone, untouched. Nobody even caught up to him. So that's 2 goals in 6 seconds. How quick was that?
That's ridiculous. I mean, you can't even see the camera cut. And Kaprizov, I get the replay there, just blows it top shelf over Wedgwood. And we're having the same start that we had in game 1. We have 2 goals already, and not even 3 minutes have expired.
Oh, this is going to drive coaches crazy. The exact same start as in game 1. I know the King series is more defensive for the Avalanche, but Colorado can play any style. Minnesota is a team that likes to wear you down. That was seen in the Dallas series, and already the superstars are getting up and going.
Alec, I'm going to say this because I'm going to get back into the play-by-play, but wasn't Minnesota's 6 goals that they scored in game 1 more than the Kings scored in their first 4 games? And we already got 2 goals here in a span of 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. The Kings have 5 goals scored in that 4-game series this week. And then in game 1, it was Minnesota with 6 goals.
So 2 shots, 1 goal. Kirill Kaprizov, his third of the playoffs, 1 shot, 1 goal. That's Marty Necas. As Faber throws it in an open corner. And Wedgwood's save percentage is going to be hurting a little bit now, but so Gustafson's going to get this start in game 2. Picked up now Makar, toe drag. He can't get around the stick check of Minnesota. And this is a odd man rush. A long shot goes up into the netting and on a play at 15:54.
Is it safe to say for me that after the first round that I actually wasn't really that big of a Dallas believer this year? Minnesota wore them down 5-on-5 all series long, and Dallas was only getting a lot of scoring chances on power plays.
Right.
And in playoffs, you need to have an efficient 5-on-5 ride. And both Colorado and Minnesota have that.
Yes, they do, Alec. And again, I was completely wrong in terms of Glenn Gullickson. As far as them not making the playoffs, that's what I had in my prediction. But they did lose in round 1. And I understand the opponent, but Minnesota just looks that much better. And if they weren't playing Colorado right now, let's say Colorado was eliminated, you could make the argument that maybe Minnesota could go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I really think this team is really good.
Yeah, there's a year in which Minnesota can shed that narrative of them falling short. It's this year.
15:20 left to go on the first. John here with you alongside Alec Nava, who I'm pleased to be joined by for this game 2 of the Western Semis. Colorado does have a 1-0 series advantage after a 9-6 win, but goals 6 seconds apart from Necas and Kaprizov and made it a 1-1 game as we're 5 minutes expired here at Ball Arena. This is picked up now near the left side red line. Here's a good support for MacKinnon. Try to get a piece of it for a moment. I'm still trying to wait to see if I can find number 91 on the ice at some point. Not used to seeing him being a bottom 6 role, but that's the kind of depth that Colorado has, and he's certainly going to be able to dictate. He already scored a goal in game 1. As this is knocked away from Foligno, this play with a high stick is going to blow the play dead at 14:36.
The type of depth that that Colorado has is efficient and deadly. They have like 8 players who can play center. MacKinnon being one of them, of course, that's the obvious. Nichushkin, who's listed as a winger on Kadri's line, he can also play center. There's no doubt about that in his time with Vegas on the 4th line. He can also play third line minutes when need be.
So the 2 goals in 6 seconds, and thank you for that, Alec, is the second fastest in NHL history. I'm guessing 5 would have to be the fastest. I don't think he could score 2 goals in 4 seconds. Here's Nathan MacKinnon on the back end. He gets taken away from Quinn Hughes, who got the hook at the last second. Marty Necas sets it up for Taves, and that one is saved by Gustafson, who never saw it. It was stuck in his equipment. We get a stoppage at 14:21.
We speak of Gustafson and Wallstedt in goal. That Minnesota has the confidence in both those goaltenders in playoff scenarios. There can be the argument that by pedigree, these two are the best goaltending tandem in the Central Division, though Wedgwood and Blackwood do have an argument for it. There was a nice one-time feed from Necas and Caves from the center point to get that chance. Gustafsson saw it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Alec. And combines with their defense as well and their goaltending, they really have all the tools. As we said, it really just comes down to this matchup. I would have to believe that the third round is going to be easier for both of these teams should one of them be able to advance through it. As this is picked up now toward the left side now, of course, one of them is going to. We just don't know who yet, as this is a full sail change for John Hynes' squad. And Nathan MacKinnon is in a battle there with Jared Spurgeon as this goes in off the backboards. I'll have to plug my phone in here pretty soon. It's 13:40 left to go. Spurgeon takes a hit against the glass. That was a very good look by ESPN. Kulak can't find it. Minnesota now off the 3-on-2. Here's a curl and drag. Sharp angle chance for Yarov, and this one is swallowed up by Wedgwood.
So this leads to our first ice scrapage. And we know about the whole ice stakes. And the Western Conference, this could be argued that it is the real Western Conference final. In a normal playoff format, we can see this as a Western Conference final matchup. Yet when we look at the divisional playoff format, there could be the argument that Vegas could pose a serious challenge for either Colorado or Minnesota. We just don't know if they're that much good enough to overcome that.
Yeah, I don't question them defensively as much, but offensively, I just don't think any team matches up with Colorado and Minnesota. And that might be including some of these teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I'm really looking forward, as I mentioned, to Buffalo and Montreal. It's a shame that they already got to play in the second round, though.
It is. It's normally we see this as a conference finals matchup, as was noted before, but besides Buffalo and Montreal, Carolina may be the only other serious threat coming out of the East. And the hope is that this hot momentum from the Canes would carry on to a possible Stanley Cup final. In this time frame of Rod Brindamore, they've yet to make a Stanley Cup final. We don't know if this is the year.
It might be, honestly, Alec, because you look at it in between Carolina and Philadelphia, and I probably could cover that series. I'm going to choose not to toward the back half unless it gets tight because I think Carolina's going to handle their business. But for as good of a season as Buffalo and Montreal have had, you don't have the Florida Panthers to have to contend with anymore. There's some of the other prototypical Eastern Conference powers. So this probably is the time for the Carolina Hurricanes to make the Stanley Cup Finals, in my opinion.
It is no excuses for Carolina by this point. You have all the chemistry going with you. Not a lot of additions at the trade deadline, though that was a trade deadline which I wanted Carolina to get Jordan Binnington and Scott Laughton. Neither of them happened. So the Canes are riding with Freddie Anderson. So far, he's been amazing in the first two rounds.
Yes, he has, and that's what they're going to have. It's picked up now and across the backhand. Again, they were profiling Gustafsson. It's been a while since he played, but he's going to be called in for game 2. I think that's more of a break for Woolstead than anything else. I don't think his time will be cut short unless Minnesota goes on a huge run. Here is Quinn Hughes off the backhand power move. He gets denied by the left pad of Wedgwood. No, Hughes again. He tries to lock the backhand, just missed the top of the left post. It's so much fun to watch him skate. As now it's Matthew Boldy, who has been unbelievable so far in these playoffs. Rims it around the end boards. You got Hartman there. You got Matt Zuccarello at times in the mix with Kirill Kaprizov, who loves to play make and set up Kirill to score goals. As this is knocked away and across center ice, Hughes. He gets lofted away from the puck. And finally now Sam Malinski, Alec, who has been so ridiculous in the plus-minus, just another defensive weapon that they have alongside Nick Blankenberg as well. This Colorado team is deep. And you got Brent Burns playing on the third line for defense for Jared Bednar's squad. As this one sent in. Back and behind the end boards, thunderous contact. As this goes back now to Blankenberg. Across ice to Brent Burns. This will get knocked in away from Nick Waugh. Again, that was the partial pickup there in terms of what Toronto then gave up from the Mitch Marner deal when they pretty much would have got nothing otherwise, as this will be knocked away. And near the right side boards, contested for it now, near the left dot. and we will get a whistle at 11:51. Admittedly, I'm not sure what the call will be, but we'll take a look in a moment.
You mentioned Nick Blankenberg. He started nicely on the bottom pair next to Brett Burns in the time in which Josh Manson's missed due to injury. Manson and Burns have been silently a reliable pair on the bottom pair. They don't have to do too much, but because of the depth that Colorado has, they can get excelled in sheltered minutes.
Looks like Jakob Trenin gets a high stick on Nick Waugh. I just got the replay there, so there's your call at 8:09. Colorado, who has been a little bit hot and cold lately on their power play when it was iceberg cold throughout the year. They've got a lot of talent, but as Alec and I mentioned a couple times from watching them, they get a little stagnant, do a lot of the same combination plays. We'll see what's different here. At 11:45 in the first, it's a 1-1 game. MacKinnon steals off the windmill, throw it back to Nazem Kadri. Feels good to see him back in this jersey. It's Necas. Now to MacKinnon, the bumper line, scores! Right in the middle of the crease. And that's a tic-tac-toe play, 2-1 Avs.
Just what we want to see from Colorado's power play. Create more scoring chances, more high-danger looks. If you're going to score on the power play, it's got to be a high-danger chance. Nathan MacKinnon digs this out from behind the net and finds Kadri wide open far half boards. Then Makar defers to Necas, and that's a nifty passing play between the two speediest playmakers to find a man who's oh so reliable on the bumper spot. 2-1.
That's a beautiful play there, as you mentioned, right out front. There is no chance. You could have put the Jolly Green Giant back there and goaltending. You're not going to make that save. Landeskog, his 31st career playoff goal, third of the postseason. Again, I can't punch this button enough. Landeskog already with 3. Already talked about 2022 and how special of a year that was in between the Avs and the Bolts. And the captaincy in number 92, he keeps scoring goals like that. That's going to give me belief.
You're wide open, indeed, for Gabe Landeskog, the captain.
So we'll see what we get. Does the Minnesota Wild get the answer in this first period? That's what we'll find out. That's the only thing that concerns me about Minnesota. Now, like I mentioned, it's not just this series, but you can't afford to play from behind at all against a team even like Colorado for as good as you are offensively as Minnesota. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it in this series, Alec, but in my opinion, I think Minnesota needs to win a period, maybe where they have at least a 2 or 3 goal lead. I just don't know if that'll even be possible.
Because last time around when they won a period, it only ended up as a 5-5 tie. That made game 1. Just winning a period where it's a tie game, you're not going to get that done against Colorado. And Gabe Landeskog, he's on a 5-game point streak, 3 goals, 3 assists in that span.
It's 2 shots, 2 goals for Colorado, 1 even strength and 1 on the power play. So that goaltending relief's not happening right now, and Gustafsson able to make the save, so that will finally count as not a 0 now. It's just put in the corner, but it's just a .333 save percentage unless they added another shot. As Kulak pushed this one up the ice. MacKinnon tries to split a 1-on-3. He's going to get there first, and this pass toward the left side, that will be intercepted by John Hynes' squad. He slid up at the line. MacKinnon goes all the way back, gets the steal, leaves it now for Makar, as Devon Tays will throw this in an open left corner, but not before it goes out of play at 10:31.
Coaches want to see more defensive hockey. Of course, it's nice to have offense, but your defense needs to be aware of your assignments. So far, it's not been the case, and we're seeing more the shootout that was the Western Conference Final from 4 years ago. The Avalanche Oilers won.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing right now, Alec. It's fun to call. And again, I agree with you on everything you said about in terms of coaching and what they might want to see. But 11 goals in the last 4 periods. But Alec and I are going to enjoy this series for however long it lasts. But I'll make no bones about it here. I think Minnesota's got to win this game today. They could probably go home and at least win 1 of 2, but I don't think they can take both on either side of the venue. And they certainly couldn't do that from the game 1 loss. So this is an important game, too, and they got to get on the front foot and get back to a tie. As this is chipped in, the left side boards Tays as this bounce away from him. Nichushkin was there in front of the crease. This is intercepted by Brock Nelson. Wide open pass, 1 more. Landeskog doesn't shoot. He must have lost the handle. He already came back from a power play goal, stutter step, Cale Makar, walk in, wrister, all sorts of traffic, and Gustafsson will slow it down with a glove hand. But if Landeskog could have done that over again and had control, he probably would have made it 3-1.
Perhaps if it wasn't that point, a 3-1 lead could make it dangerous territory for Minnesota. No shot for Gabe Landeskog, and it wasn't Jackson Lehkonen from last night.
Oh my God!
But that's still a decision you got to make. That you have to shoot it.
That was, and I'm sorry, because Jackson Lehkonen is a fantastic young player, and the Ducks have a bright future. He'll be replaying that in his mind, and all you got to say if you're the coaching staff or Pat Verbeek, the GM, you get that the next time, just shoot the puck. Don't even think about anything else.
Leo calls it a highlight reel spin.
Yes, he did.
Come on, no need to ruin the highlight.
No, it happens sometimes, especially for young players. But again, Lehkonen's going to learn from that. I don't normally do this across the board, but the Pistons are still playing in the playoffs after a 3-1 comeback against the Orlando Magic. The Celtics had a 3-1 lead against Philadelphia and lost it. But it looks like right now the Stones are up 64-53 as the third quarter really getting underway on Peacock.
As easy as it is to mock the Celtics for that comeback, I'll have to add on a note for the Sixers. That comeback's extra special and an emotional one for Nick Nurse because his brother died in the middle of that comeback. The fact that Nurse stayed there to coach the Sixers, that provided the emotional spark Philadelphia needed to make that comeback. I don't blame Nurse for taking time away from the team to attend the funeral services because family's more important.
I'm glad that you shed that light out because honestly, I didn't know about that. The fact that he actually came back and did that anyway, that would give you a lot of emotional boost. And I could tell you honestly, if I was in that situation, I don't think I could handle it.
I mean, you would want to, 9 times out of 10, someone would want to step away from the team to attend the funeral services, which is totally understandable.
Showed some of those highlights there on the power play that was just scored from Landeskog. It's 2-1, 9:40 left to go in the first tonight's goal scorers. Again, Necas, Kaprizov, and Landeskog. Necas is first of the power play, first of the postseason, I should say. I think one of many more that he'll be getting because he also hit the 100-point mark in a game that Alec and Cooper and Ian were all in when they last played the Flames just before the end of the regular season. No shots on goal since 17:03. The Kaprizov goal. Here's a wrap in front of the net for Boldy, and this one gets turned away by Wedgwood. I think that one's going to count. As Blankenberg, his outstretched pass, it was a one-touch to Drury, but he lost it off his blade. And Minnesota offside. Have to start again. There's number 91 on the left side of the wing. The third line's up for Jared Bednar's squad. And this one-touch passing for the Avs. They look to be in regular season mode right now against a high-profile Minnesota Wild team. I believe they split the season series 2-2 across the board in the regular season, but this is completely different stakes. This is sent back around the inboards off the backhand. Attempted dive on the shot block will be failed and then bounce off the inboards of the left side red line for Ross Colton and then up and on a play at 8:35.
On the save for that third line, the fact he joined Nazem Kadri on that third line. Yes, we spoke about it again. The depth that Colorado has. They're comfortable playing Brock Nelson at second line center. They believe that Kadri is good enough to play third line minutes because he was on the first line on Calgary. Yep. Colorado can utilize him in either second line or third line.
Yeah, and because of the depth, as you mentioned, it gives them a very dangerous weapon that they can use, especially in that bottom portion of the six that can drive offense and then still run power play line numero uno and then end up getting almost an assist there. He was the fourth player to touch the puck, but pretty much trust him to do anything. As this is a stick lift, Nathan MacKinnon gets around 3 players. Now he breaks out. Races up the center ice. Necas try to drop it here for Nate Dogg as this is put in behind the inboards here. Back at the point, it's Cale Makar. One touch pass. Necas up high. This gets deflected. Necas, he gets robbed. This shot, I think, got bounced as he couldn't put it in an open net. And that would have been another goal for Colorado. They could have already had 4. They've had the front foot in this first period ball arena in front of the faithful, and they've looked good. Shot board only 6-2. But Alec and I aren't lying to you. We said that Colorado could have had 4 goals already. Nichushkin, he's getting his camera shots. As this one goes to the left side, Nichushkin tries to get in front of the net, partially gets a steal. Landeskog is bumped up the puck. You get a delayed hand in the air. This is going to go against the Avs. Minnesota will go on the power play once the Avs touch, unless they score here. Chance will go back down and across the defensive zone. And Colorado will have to take some changes, and they'll have to maybe deal with a penalty here. As Brock Faber still taking time behind his own net. Minnesota still has this puck, and across the Avalanche logo, really taking their time. Ryan Hartman now, as this is Kaprizov off the drop here for Faber at the blue line. Now Boldy, now back around, and you have to delay again because Minnesota was offsides. Here's a flipping puck, finally get touched by Brett Kulak. And Minnesota now will start in the power play for the first time with just 2 shots on goal.
Minnesota had special teams being an issue in the first round series against Dallas. They need the special teams to step up here in the second round against a Colorado team that's the best in penalty killing this season.
And it's Brock Nelson with a bear hug on Quinn Hughes. That is about as easy as it gets to call.
He hugged him as easy as it can be for the officials to notice that between Chris Rooney and Graham Skillington are 2 referees for tonight's game. And Brock Nelson, who's usually been a reliable penalty killer and two-way forward with the Islanders, he'll have to sit down.
I will say this for Brock Nelson, and Alec, I give you credit because you're the encyclopedia, but for Nelson, I think he had a lot more game left, and when he certainly came back to the Avalanche, he exploded in an offensive game that I didn't think he had anymore.
He was one of the more underrated goal scorers on the Islanders, and now that he's playing second-line minutes on the Avalanche, he's taking his game next level.
Kaprizov, he gets denied as Hartman trying to get a screen in front. You remember Ryan Hartman from a game 1 a few years ago against the Dallas Stars, and that was a double OT game that we called. He's another one of those goal scorers that are in the middle 20s as Kaprizov gets denied near the right dot.
Minnesota, they did get some chances. Quinn Hughes, of course, is the architect. The fact that they got him in that trade has taken a boost on this power play. You leave Kirill Kaprizov that wide open with Hughes setting up the play.
Kaprizov, this gets deflected by Hartman. This goes back to Kirill the thrill. Now Quinn Hughes. It's a ridiculous power play that they have as well. It's so much fun to call. Boldy now, wrister, tip by Hartman, saved by Wedgwood. This goes back on the high slot. Another stop, Wedgwood. Rebound loose, jam away at the crease. And we're going to get some pushing and shoving.
From what you said, it looked like there were so many shots that Scott Wedgwood. Minnesota is doing a good job at cycling this play between Kaprizov, Boldy, and Hughes. They're a big 3. Of course, they get the forefront. And of course, they get better with Ryan Hartman and Matt Zuccarello being in the lineup. They both make a positive difference. And of course, whenever they're whacked at the puck at the front of the net, the shoving starts.
I really like that goal mask for Wedgwood, by the way. We got that camera shot there of the cartoonish dog in the mix of the colors of the Avalanche. The goalie masks that you can see and throughout the NHL and the amount of design and art they have to it really is something to behold, to be honest with you.
It is. The more creative they get, so you know these artists are doing a good job at designing goalie masks.
Hartman with 3 chances as Alec called, and he gets bowled over. Minutes bowling pins. I know Bob Wischusen called it as a mosh pit. I think he's exactly right. As it's 6:05 left to go in the first. He is one of the better play-by-play men, not just on ESPN, but in general. As this is dropped now by Quinn Hughes, Matt Zuccarello at the point for Boldy. Boldy keeps it alive. High slot. Puts his eyes open here for Zuccarello, back to Boldy in that same spot, left side blue line. Hughes is near the right dot. Boldy fires it at the net. Hartman providing another screen, and Wedgwood fights it off with the trapper. This goes back down to Philip Gustafson. Quinn Hughes has it now. Nothing wrong with Minnesota's power play here. They just haven't scored about 5 shots on it. As this is sent back around for Marcus Johansson. Power play line numero dos, part of it there. Kaprizov still stays on. He gets hit very hard by Kulak. Daniel Urov. Now for Jared Spurgeon. Hughes, wrister. Off the lively backboards and then wide of Wedgwood. As it's picked up now for Hughes. Left side blue line. Tipped by Urov. Here's a slap pass. Now to Quinn. High slot. Here's Johansson. Passes the bumper. Kaprizov cross. Wedgwood meets it. Makes the save. And then more checking heavy. Fist started to be thrown as Kaprizov taking a couple of hits.
Bold decision by John Hynes to leave Kaprizov and Hughes on the second power play unit. In essence, double shifting the two of them for the entire length of this power play. It's a strategy that other coaches have adapted to, such as with Chris Nava, with Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. But they're getting good chances here. The only knock is that they haven't scored.
And Alec, you're going to get this camera shot. What a pass from Kirill Kaprizov, getting away from the diving shot block, floats it out of midair, almost gets Yurov a hand-eye goal right at the net.
A nice feed right over of Sam Malinski, who was diving for the pass block. And Yurov almost batted this one towards it. That Wedgwood was well aware of it. He's got it. He took a little Statue of Liberty, too.
Faber keeps it alive for Vlad. Yurov, one-timer. Vlad trying to get to the net, and this will go back down. Minnesota does not score, but they had 5 shots on that power play, and they looked really good. If they can get another one of those, they might even it up. 4:30 left to go in the first. That was so good, I lost track of the time. It's 2-1 Colorado. Landeskog with the latest. Here's a pass from 120. And this will get in the offensive zone and then immediately ripped away by Marty Necas. Picked up now Nathan MacKinnon. They'll race for it. This will be beat there first by Gustafsson. And now Minnesota will try to take this one left to right. Play this slow bank off the inboards. Left to right dot it goes. And now up the ice. Picked up off a long flick. And Wedgwood's going to have to hold that in the glove as we get a stop at 4:03.
There was such chaos at this power play by Minnesota. They looked to tie this game up, but could not. Remember, we covered these two teams in the March 8th game, that game in which Colorado wanted a shootout, but shootouts don't exist in hockey. Yet the first game felt like a shootout. We don't know if this was going to be similar style shootout, but not to that extent.
No, not to that extent, but to your point, Alec, that you just made, we talked about the power play. Could have easily been a tie game there. Wedgwood, I think at least out of the 5 saves, I would say 2 of those are probably not stopped by most goalies.
Most goalies wouldn't stop it, of course, but Scott Wedgwood, who used to be a backup goaltender, is having the time of his life as Colorado's 1A goaltender.
Yeah, he used to be the backup for the Dallas Stars, correct?
Yeah, he used to be the Stars' backup, and he used to be the Devils' backup.
Yeah, that's right. So he's bounced around a little bit, but again, also, you got the skills, and Alec and I aren't going to mince words here. You also have the Colorado back-end defense and offensive capabilities they have there as well. So I think it really is a perfect fit because you take Mackenzie Blackwood, who was in San Jose, who's been so good with them over the last few years, and then Wedgwood. I looked at his regular season numbers. Alec, he was 2.01 goals against. He almost had a goals against under 2.
Look, they're very close, and he and Blackwood should take a lot of credit for winning the Jennings Trophy as the best goaltending tandem statistically this season. Though Gustafsson and Wallstedt do come close, Wedgwood has been amazing. What a story.
Yeah, he has been. And I do, as I say, a lot for Chris McFarland and Joe Sakic. I give them a ton of credit for continually trying to reinvent this team and keep things going, kind of like how Vegas does. And I'm not saying Jim Nill has done a bad job because I think he's going to get another Executive of the Year award or at least be in the running, but he's starting to put himself in salary cap hell.
Yeah, because there are a lot of discussions about the Jason Robertson fraud, about
right.
Will he give a new contract to Robertson or won't he? Do remember, Thomas Harley's about to make $10 million a year if he hasn't already.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things where you're going to need more production out of him when you get to that point. Here's a one-timer. This will be blocked near the left dot. Colorado keeps it in for a moment. Ross Colton, former Bolton. You got a lot of guys that have bounced in and around, but they've all fit with Colorado. Minnesota's iced it. It'll be a Colorado ozone drop, 331.
It's the depth that Colorado has that they can fit anyone in the lineup. They did get Logan O'Connor back in time for the playoffs after not seeing him play at all this season. Not to mention some of the injured guys like Josh Manson, Joel Kivaranta. They can slide to the lineup when necessary.
And for Vegas, when you speak of injuries as well, I think there was a Wild Bill sighting the other day. Will Karlsson.
Yes, he's back in the lineup. He hasn't played since November before Game 1 of this Duck series.
Oh, man, as one of the original tenured Golden Misfits, he's been so important off the post, off the outside of the post for the Avs, as that was shot near the right dot. Quinn Hughes is already out there again. Honestly, I can't think of a shift where he hasn't been out there here in this first period. And these guys are going to log major minutes in between Cale, Makar, and Quinn Hughes. But I do think there's a little more depth on the side for the back end line for Colorado across the board. You just don't want to burn out your stars that much if you don't have to. Kulak shot deflected. Minnesota didn't want to throw it back in their own zone, but it got bounced off bodies. And those jerseys in white have to spin back around again and have to look to start, as this is lobbed from the right to left dot. Minnesota finds the entry now, as this will be sprayed in for Boldy. Foligno now tries to find it, as this is knocked away off a half pirouette, and Colorado's got it. This will be touched out of the air. Try to get cleared and across the left side red line, but it's contested in between the cerulean and maroon. Logan O'Connor gets away from some contact. In Minnesota, Jacob Middleton will look to start this again with 2:15 left to go in the first. Right here with you alongside Alec Nava. He'll be taking over in the second period if you would like to. As this will be picked up now, 9 shots to 7. Minnesota's got that advantage, but Landeskog's got the latest go-ahead. Picked up now, Kirill Kaprizov tried to throw it off the outside of the cage. Don't know if it hit Wedgwood. This will go back and across the red line. And it feels like it's been a while since we've had a goal, I say that jokingly, as Zuccarello knocks this one away. Picked up now near the left side blue line. Touch pass here for Faber. Marty Necas off a backhand. This is picked up now. MacKinnon inside out move. He gets rubbed off the puck by Quinn Hughes and picked up off the outside of the cage. 1:35 left to go in the first. Minnesota now has it in their own end. Quinn's still out there. He's been out there for about a minute or so now. As it's picked up now off the back skate. We'll get it one more time. The forwards for John Hynes' squads take a change. As it's Ryan Hartman. We'll throw this one down the ice. Wedgwood now will stop it. This will be intercepted. You got to get back in the goal crease. There's a touch pass for Spurgeon off to the right side dot, which was open. At the play off the Karen was Boldy. Boldy now trying to throw it back at the point. We'll still pick it up as Colorado doesn't get it out. Nick Waugh out there and now finally intercepted by the Avs. Jared Bednar's squad can take control near the left side red line. But here is a backhand opportunity off the outside of Wedgwood. And then Colorado runs into their own net. Devon Tays will pop back up. He's able to escape the danger for Daniel Yurov. And now Tays has it on his back, and he'll leave it for the captaincy, and Landeskog elects for the long flip. Gets knocked down there as one of the Colorado players and picked up and off the spin and turn. This is Quinn. Quinn now is contested near the right side boards as this will be intercepted. Vlad Tarasenko now. He is tucked away from the outside by Devon Tays. 15 seconds left to go on the first. Slap shot gets deflected. The Avs got time for one more rush. Landeskog got it sticked away. Down to 5 seconds. Here's Minnesota. Ripper goes up high, and it hits the netting. 4 seconds left before we end the first.
Quinn Hughes, every shift he takes, he puts on the show. And the fact that we know that he's a workhorse, he isn't even joking about workhorse either. So far this postseason, he's averaging 31 minutes and 17 seconds of ice time per game.
I don't even know how you stay energized and fit and exercise and keep yourself stretched. Let's say you're the best athlete in the world, which is what he is, but to play that many minutes, I think at some point it's going to have to drain you.
At some point, yes. Especially knowing that he is going up and down the defensive pairs. He's played next to Brock Faber. He's played next to Jeff Petrie. There's sometimes in which he's played next to Jared Spurgeon, too.
So at the end of one, it is 2-1 Avs. Philip Gustafson, 5 of 7. Scott Wedgwood, 8 of 9. Not a lot of shots to tell you about, so that does speak of the defensive change that we thought we might see in Game 2. But when Alec gets set to take over, all I'll say is hold all tickets and prepare your voice.
Oh, at least it isn't 4-3 after one period, John. And I say it as half jokingly because last game was such an offensive shootout, but the fact that it's 2-1 after one, both coaches have to be happy that it's 2-1 after one. The defense is getting better before both teams. They just need to work on this being sustained for the rest of the series.
So what did you see? What were your key takeaways from the first?
So from the first period, of course, as we know, the defense got better. The goaltending got better for Scott Wedgwood at the very least. And Philip Gustafsson, he's playing like he is just getting back into his first action in a month, which is kind of getting that shakiness off of you in a way. But nonetheless, any goaltender who hasn't played a month is expected to feel a little rusty in their first game back. So Gustafsson, he is feeling that rustiness in that first period. As the game goes on, I expect him to be more comfortable in the net.
I'm going to give you the numbers here in particular. I'm just marking those down for the game story. This one's not going to be as long because I still have some NHL duties to do. But the shot boards are 9-7 in favor of Minnesota as we profiled. Hits are 14-10. So a little bit of a physical game, not too much yet. And Minnesota leads that by 4. And in the face-offs, that's all Avs there doubling up 14-7 on the Wild. It is power play is 1 for 1. Landeskog's got that. 0 for 1 for the Wild. If we look back down in our scoring summary, it was Marty Necas, his first of the playoffs there, from a good chance off the backhand for Nathan MacKinnon, who took it in across the right wing. Necas scores, and then 6 seconds later, right off the draw, Ryan Hartman wins it. Kirill Kaprizov pretty much cruises in on a breakaway and pots the top left corner past Wedgwood. And then Landeskog, some beautiful passing. Nathan MacKinnon gets it on the bumper, finds Landeskog right in the middle of the crease. He gets his third of the postseason from Big Nate and Marty Necas, who has 6 apples. So nothing wrong with Marty Necas getting his first goal. He's already got 7 points in the postseason.
So far, so good of a first period that we saw. We're hoping that this keeps up in the second period. And if Minnesota can come back and claw their way through this game. As some games, they clawed their way to victory. Other games, they cruise by, thanks to dominating 5-on-5 performances. Against Colorado, it's a different animal because Colorado is one of the best regular season teams this season. And they can go both blow for blow with anyone else. They're the cup favorites for a reason. Though Minnesota can give them a test.
So I'm going to say this selfishly locally, and I wish I didn't look at this. The Boston Red Sox, who are only 14-21, you just got rid of the manager stuff and a lot of other things there for Alex Cora. They win the game last night off the rain delay. They score, it looks like, 4 in the third and 2 in the fourth. They're leading the Tigers 10-3 in the seventh. That would be an awful loss for them. And then as I look on the other end for the NBA, because we have just the one NHL game today, the Cavs have come storming back in this third. Pistons leads down to 3 with 1:48 left to go. It's 77-74 in that third quarter.
And to say the least for that Pistons-Cavaliers series, both series were uncomfortable for both the Cavs and the Pistons in the first round. The Magic did push them to a 3-1 series deficit, but 2003 happened all over again. That game 6 was particularly inexcusable for Orlando after squandering a 24-point lead and scoring only 19 points in the second half. It looked like the formula was going to be out. Stop Cale, you stop the Pistons. Yet the Pistons found other ways, such as Dennis Jenkins.
I was in utter disbelief, Alec, as all of us were, because again, I wouldn't say disparaging things about a 60-win team. The only thing I would say about Detroit, and this is me locally, I don't think they're actually a 60-win team. 16-22 is their record this year, but you know what I mean by that. I think they were able to play most of their starters, particularly all year. I do think in basketball it's more of a load management deal. I'm not saying the Pistons weren't comfortably a top 4 team, and I'm not saying the Magic might not have been a top 4 team if not for all the injuries. But I'm glad they got past the first round because the only thing I would have said, you can't lose in the first round if you're Detroit.
There's no excuse for that. Getting past the first round is the first step. Second round against the Cavaliers, I knew it was going to be a tight series, but against Cleveland, I did say about the Cavaliers, don't fall for the James Harden trap. I know this from experience as a Rockets fan.
What did you think about, I don't want to poke holes, but Lakers Rockets?
I still have not recovered from that series. How can we blow a 6-point lead in 30 seconds in Game 3? Look, the victories in Games 4 and 5, okay, cool and all. It may hype up some fans for reverse sweep. In fact, it just made me a little more upset that we blew that Game 3 because Game 6, we simply ran out of gas. You can't tax your starters for, say, 35 plus minutes each and expect to win every time.
Right.
You've got to have a reliable bench. And if you don't have a reliable bench, all you can do is tax your starters. And what happened in Game 6 was not a shock. Our starters were gassed.
I'm going to say the same thing we just said in this series between Minnesota and Colorado in the East, because I can speak of it there. In the West, I'm not so comfortable because I don't think the Pistons are going to have much fun if they did make it to the NBA Finals. But I do think whoever wins in between that next series with the Knicks and the Hawks, I do think the Pistons will handle them, especially the Knicks, because I do not think Mike Brown is an upgrade in coaching over Tom Thibodeau. I just don't.
It is here and there, though. Mike Brown does know how to use his bench, though I'm not sure if he can handle duties as head coach on the Knicks. Though Jalen Brunson is keeping the Knicks afloat.
Yes.
You know, we have to say, what side of Karl Anthony Towns are we going to see is the question.
That is something left to think about. I'm just going to talk about this really quickly in the intermission as we got about 10 minutes. I don't have a ton of things planned, but there were some stuff that I saw. We know before this game started, this is the only one on the NHL docket. They got the NHL draft lottery today, so there were some teams that did not move up, and there were some teams that really did. The Toronto Maple Leafs have had, a 48-hour whirlwind, Alec, to say the least. They probably didn't like all their organizational decisions, although I do like Matt Sundin being there today. They got the number one pick. For the first time since 2016 when they selected Austin Matthews, they can even get Gavin McKenna or Otto Stenberg.
Either one. I'd have to a nightmare of a season. At Leafs fans, they were saying, we're on Team Tank. They're losing games after the deadline, after being eliminated, and they get rewarded with Gavin McKenna. So they keep this year's pick because it landed top 5. But because it landed in the top 5, so there's the explanation. They lose the 2028 first round pick, then 2027 first becomes unprotected, and the 2027 first becomes unprotected and is in the top 10. The Leafs have to choose who gets the pick between Philadelphia and Boston. If it's outside the top 10, Philadelphia gets 27, Boston gets 28. The only question is, what moves are they going to make? Because the defensive core is bad, and they need a clear upgrade on defense. Morgan Riley, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they cannot be your number one defenseman.
No, and I will say this. As good as the number one pick is going to be going forward, and I think Toronto is going to get a huge boom from that, I think what essentially you and I are saying, don't expect the Toronto Maple Leafs to be back in the playoffs and making noise next year.
Yes, don't expect it as soon as possible. And I'm not particularly confident in, oh my goodness, John Jacob? They hired him?
What credentials does he have?
I mean, what I have to say is that he hosted an illegal combine with the Arizona Coyotes and costed them a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Reminder, they would have lost another second-round pick if they re-signed Taylor Hall. Instead, he went to Buffalo, and Genge, for a so-called analytics guru, he was the opposite. Yikes.
Oh, man. So, yeah, you were talking about, all of us had mentioned it, Shanahan and some of the stuff that didn't work, and you have the core four and this and that. And I understand there's a lot of misery, but there's also some playoffs and some good regular season. But then you start with this in completely uncharted territory. I guess all I can say for them is thank God they got the number one pick, because if they would have fell in the draft and then they would have had all that stuff on top of them too, I don't know how anyone could still be a Maple Leafs fan.
Oh my goodness. Well, who knows how Steve Dangle was feeling,
Right.
or Adam Bauer, Jesse Blake, for that matter.
We'll say this too, and this is another good development. And then I'm going to be honest here, and I know this will be no surprise when we get into the free agency frenzy show that I'm expecting Cooper to join me as always. Alec is more than welcome to join in as he usually does. But Mike Greer moves up again. The San Jose Sharks get the second overall pick.
Wow, they had a near 8% chance of doing so for the second pick. And against the odds, they did it. So they won the MacKinnon Celebrity Sweepstakes. They got Michael Misa last year. So this year, they're on pace to get Ivar Stenberg, Ivar Stenberg at second overall. So that leaves Vancouver with Keaton Verhoff, I guess.
I'm going to say this too before I get into Vancouver. It's unfortunate they go down. But like I said, next year, if the Red Wings don't make the playoffs, I'm going full fire and brimstone. So I'm taking the Red Wings automatically to try to avoid that, but I'm still going to do the show if not. What I was going to get to, though, for the Sharks, I'm taking them to make the playoffs next year in the West.
You know what? I'm with you there. I can see San Jose making the playoffs next year. You get another year of that young core together, and they're all used with one another. I don't expect Macklin Celebrini to have that large of a point differential between him and second place again. I expect some more of the young core to increase their point totals. We could see more of Will Smith. We could see more of Michael Misa on a full-time basis. Tyler Toffoli there for leadership is a good sign. Maybe Toffoli gets the captaincy. Who knows?
I think he is a good candidate there as well, Alec. I like that. As you mentioned, Vancouver falls to 3. Chicago still picks in the top 4. The Rangers are 5th, and 6th and 7th is Calgary and Seattle. They don't move. But for Vancouver, I mean, it stings that you're not getting the number 1 pick, but at least you get something in the top 3. You got to find a way to just move forward after pretty much losing out on generational players left and right.
Yes, I mean, the last time they picked in the top 3 was when they got the Sedin twins, and they were there representing the Canucks. Vancouver is on a GM search, and so far the Sedins, they are representing the Canucks at this current point. Jim Rutherford is handling the day-to-day business. There were some rumors about the Canucks potentially hiring Pierre Dorian as the general manager.
We'd have to see how that would go. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest with you. Schaefer, Celebrini, Bedard, Slavkovsky, the last number 1 overall picks of the last 4. As Alec just mentioned, you got McKenna and Stenberg as the ones. Who do you see winning Rookie of the Year?
I have to see Schaefer easily for this year's Rookie of the Year, winning the Calder Trophy. He is the face of the Islanders franchise now, and he's brought excitement back to Long Island hockey again. He's turning the foundation around, and if the Islanders make the playoffs next season, we could see the new era of Islanders hockey being at the full forefront.
I'm going to go ahead and completely agree with you because for the longest time, the New York Islanders were in the midst of a playoff spot, and Matthew Schaefer, you saw some OT winners. He was in complete takeover mode. Again, we saw him a little bit in the World Juniors when he had to pretty much ram his right arm into the post in this time. And then once he gets a chance to get in the NHL, does not miss a beat. He's a lock for me for Rookie of the Year.
Of course, he screams franchise defenseman.
I want to get to this really quickly before Alec takes over. Here's a statement from Victor Hedman. Because the Bolts got eliminated, he was not able to jump in. He had to spend some time away for mental health and some of the injuries. I spent most of my life in this game with the career and organization. It's the greatest responsibility of my professional life, serving as captain. It only doesn't apply on the ice, but over the last couple of months, I made the decision to step away and focus on my mental health. It wasn't easy, but it was the right one. I've always believed that being a leader means doing what's best for the team. In this case, it also meant what was doing best to take care of myself so I can be the best player, teammate, husband, father that I expect to be. I've been fortunate to have strong support from my family, my teammates, the organization, my therapist, and I'm in a much better place today. This is something that exists in our game more than people see. If this moment helps make it easier for others to take care of themselves when they need to, that's what matters. I'm proud of this team and I look forward to see what's ahead. That was from Victor Hedman. I thought that was a good statement.
It is. It's the full professionalism of Victor
Yeah.
Hedman and the full transparency about battling personal demons. Whatever happens inside, you don't know what happens inside someone because you only see the outside, not the inside of a person. Because personal demons, they exist and they can be hard to fight through. People go through this a lot of times. Not just athletes.
Right.
They're all common people, just like us. At the end of the day, athletes are human too.
Yeah, we had that same story that happened months ago with Lena Solmark having to battle through all of that, and then Ottawa still making the playoffs. A lot of the things in the day to day, as you said, Alec, just as part of life. And again, it just comes to the point as you talk about. You can't treat these guys like robots because they're certainly not. It's very entertaining. It's fun to cover. You love to talk about all these things, but the mental health and family and everything else comes first.
It does. Because we know about mental health and everything. Let's remember something else. Different sport. But Alex Vesia stepped away from the Los Angeles Dodgers before they made it to the World Series just because of a personal matter. That personal matter turned out to be his wife's child suddenly passing away in the midst of the World Series, and it stung. The Dodgers wore caps with the number 51 to honor them, and so did the Blue Jays relievers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff like that that's tough to talk about, but it's certainly part of the game, as we mentioned. And hopefully, just wish for the best for everybody going forward. You got to take it day by day. I know that's an old adage, but that's what I always say. No matter what you're going through, it will get better. Just keep grinding, keep working hard, and doing what you love. I think that's what matters the most.
It does. You have to do what you do best.
So I'm going to hand this over to you. Just give one update here as we got another minute before it starts. The Lakers and the Thunder are tied at 24. We're getting close to the end of the first quarter. Right now it is Chet Holmgren with 9. Good to see him back on the court. And for the Lakers, LeBron James leading the charge in 8 minutes, 5 of 7 and 2 of 3 from deep. He's got 12 already.
In Detroit's up to 93-82 over Cleveland early in the fourth quarter in the meantime. And as we spoke with the Lakers, it's good to see Austin Reeves back full-time in the lineup.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on a status update from Luka Doncic, but Reeves is in clear command here with Los Angeles. And LA is making things interestingly thanks to LeBron.
Do you think that Luka Doncic will be back by next round, possibly, maybe earlier?
Let's say that should LA pull out the upset over OKC, perhaps he comes back in the conference finals, and Luka gives, say, either one of San Antonio or Minnesota a run for their money. But I'm saying Minnesota because you can never count the Timberwolves out of any playoff series. Chris Finch has an argument for being one of the best, if not the best coach in the NBA right now.
You get set to take it away. I'll back you up with the color.
All right, so here we are, second period. The Avalanche lead 2-1 here, Game 2, Western Conference semifinals. Alec, Nava here to play-by-play. John and I here in the color. Our goal scorers are Mark Necas and Gabe Landeskog for Colorado. And Kaprizov, Kirill the Frill for Minnesota, as it sends in from the far side around Wedgwood's nets. Ryan Hartman and Matt Zuccarello combine along the near boards. And the brew here between these two, that these two are two of the best teams in the NHL. The 2 goals in 6 seconds, tied for the second fastest all time between two teams. Scoring chances are 10-4 Wild in the first period. Colorado scored their power play. Minnesota did not. 11 goals in the last 4 periods for the Avs. They've been that dominant in that stretch. The Avalanche, the pre-tournament favorite to win the Stanley Cup. They were headed to their own zone. Minnesota plays this one out, and it's iced.
And you will say, as Alec and I mentioned throughout the first intermission, you have 15 goals in the first game. You're expecting a defensive effort. We'll see if Minnesota can come out here and tie this game. I think they need to.
Yeah, they have to score the next goal. And how they do it doesn't matter. It's just how you do it. It's just when that goal comes. Space off is to the right of Gustafson, won by the Avs. Not what Minnesota wants, but they do get this out. Kirill Kaprizov going downhill on down Nichushkin down the far side. He's a perennial Hart Trophy candidate. Can he be on the top contenders if Wedgwood will hold up?
I think Nichushkin did about as good as he could on a one-on-one, able to get across the right wing and then hold Kirill Kaprizov against the boards. Nichushkin, not known for the greatest defense at all, did about as good as he possibly could there, Al.
He's more of a net front presence than anything, but that time he did as good of a job holding him up at the far half boards. Yep, as we get set for this face-off, Danila Yurov on the offensive side loses that, and Colorado will escape this to center. Bouncing puck is picked up by Spurgeon. The Avalanche survived 9 giveaways in that first period. Against Minnesota and a defensive team like them, they have to tone down that number of giveaways because that's not going to be sustainable. Here's Jake Middleton with a stretch pass down the near side. Pass the penalty box, doors is intercepted, and back is Ross Colton. Slices for Wall, and he scores! Nick Wall!
That was a good back pass there. Started the play from Brock Nelson. Colton feeds it over. Spurgeon can't get the stick check down in time, and Nick Wall blows the puck past Philip Gustafson. It's his 13th career playoff goal in third of the postseason. That's another tic-tac goal for Colorado. What a quick strike.
He was the overtime hero in Game 2 against the Los Angeles Kings as Colton fed Wall ice slot. And he did not hesitate to fire that wrister past Gustafson. Nice speed, nice release. He went blocker side. It's 3-1. His 13th career playoff goal for this postseason as this pass gets cut away. Back behind the net is Malinski, intercepted by Makar towards the slot. No shot. Petrie class 1. MA's way to Wedgwood, who is ready for the shot. And he is holding on firm to this puck, which is on the left side of the blue page.
Keep an eye on this. You're just going to get this camera shot now. Jeff Petrie's slap shot bounces off the hand of Ross Colton, who is in severe discomfort. He's going to be able to get back and play in this game, but he is hunched over the bench.
And we're going to have some updates here as the game goes on. This takes a bounce off of Colton, and he was really shaken up badly. So we're going to have to monitor his status as the game goes along. Remember that Joe Kivaranta is already injured. And on the defensive side, Josh Manson is injured. And the healthy scratches here for Colorado include Zakar Bartikov, Jason Powen, Alex Barre-Bolay. Don't forget about Gavin Brindley in the minor leagues, as he was sent down to the Colorado Eagles. Jack Drury tries one, blocked wide, and somebody may have slashed his stick out. He's looking O'Connor to saved by Gustafson. Another try, Blankenberg sends this one wide. The Michigan Wolverine product into the bench pair in place of Josh Manson. As Brent Burns is back all the way towards the point, this pass fluttered wide. And racing to his puck is Logan O'Connor, who could have hoped so. Fourth line getting some nice minutes here for the Avs. O'Connor cycles around, looks at the far half boards. He wanted to find Blankenberg, he missed him. And so Cale Makar has to go all the way back. Wedgwood finds him on the pass back. Marty Necas activates up with speed. Now at the near side, Lehkonen. He missed Necas, but Necas, no, he didn't cancel on the icy. I thought he did.
Yeah, that one was awfully close. Again, you're going to get the camera shot of the puck going 5-hole here through Spurgeon off the sense from Waugh. But man, oh man, you got Gustafson in there from Game 2 after Wallstedt gives up, essentially 8 goals. And then you really don't have goal relief because it looks like Colorado's not doing much. They only got 9 shots, but they have 3 goals. That's not good.
Not a good start for Gustafson. And Gus has to get going because this is his first start in a month. Here Minnesota wins the faceoff. Quinn Hughes sends it around the imports. Devontae's on his backhand. Cale Makar, Marty Necas puts this one through to center ice. Artturi Lehkonen, bouncing puck. Collected by MacKinnon at the right circle. Drops this one out for Necas, who mishandles, but Taves is there. Makar, loading up, faking, firing, walked in front, rebound in front, and that's sent wide. Don't know if Gustafson got a piece, but MacKinnon will backtrack with the puck. Kaprizov in his face. Taves fires around the near boards. He'll be going from right to left, as Minnesota will restart. They need to score the next goal. They did not score the goal into which they wanted to. As you point out, Zuccarello fires from right to left. Kaprizov and Zuccarello at the near corner. Nichushkin wins the puck battle and will take this himself down the near side. Fired end-to-end, Rob Nelson, the ex-Islander, sent this in deep to the far corner. Landeskog, standing his man up, gave it away to Kaprizov. Here's a 2-on-2, should Minnesota hurry. Kaprizov calmly whipped this from the top of the right circle. One at deflection, and this puck exits out. Nobody at the left point. Galen Hunt. We haven't said his name a lot, but he's playing a sheltered role. Minnesota's using more of a 5 defenseman unit in the wake of the injury to one of their good players on the left defensive side. Yeah, Jonas Brodin, who usually is paired next to Jared Spurgeon. Normally on the second pair, he's out for this game. Jake Middleton takes his place on the second pair. That allows Hunt to slot in. Puck is tried free at the near corner. Here's Nick Foligno. Nick, still looking. Backhander. He wanted to send his brother Marcus, who got tied up. And so the ass defender in front of Wedgwood gets back up. That's Nick Blankenberg. Urov on the hole. Hunt lets one go. Caught by Wedgwood with Marcus setting things up on traffic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a good screen there. Nick and Marcus Foligno, the brothers combined. Again, they finally get a chance to play together. What a thrill that is, especially in a matchup like this. A lot of traffic control. Minnesota's done a great job in this game providing screens. They just got to find a way, as we mentioned. You got to get that next goal, and you got to stop Colorado from scoring, however you can even do that.
And Joe, we want to mention about the Foligno brothers, one of the more underrated assets on the team is our culture setters.
Yeah.
Nick Foligno certainly is a culture setter.
Absolutely. I like what they bring. You got that grit and sandpaper. Can score a little bit too when you need it, but you know all they got to do is get in front of the net and try to cause chaos.
That Boldy off the faceoff from Danila Urov off to Quinn Hughes, a workhorse. Remember, he's actually more than 30 minutes per game this postseason. Rock Faber from deep missed it. Boldy tied up on the rebound, and Colorado escaped back with this. Fed up ahead on this bouncing puck. Parker Kelly could not skate beyond the blue line. Marcus Johansson tied up, and Colorado reset. Kelly sends this to the near corner. Arriving first is Boldy, fighting Faber. Now there's Boldy again. Over to Hughes. Take the tape. Hughes turning back to the left point. Tied up by Jack Drury, the former Carolina Hurricane. 1 of 2. On the forward side, 1 of 3 overall. Sent in deep by Colorado. Played out by Gustafsson. 1 goal and 12 shots for the Wild. 3 goals with 9 shots for the Avalanche. Not good news for Gustafsson, but very good news for Scott Wedgwood. Up the far boards as this puck is intercepted by the ass is David MacKinnon. Drop back for Marty Necas. Necas dangles around Tarasenko twice. Will you the third time? Yes. Rips one. Gustafsson's side. Oh, how good is Necas?
Let Tarasenko's got to be like, come on now, I'm not on the St. Louis Blues anymore. Stop that.
Come on. I mean, this is not the crying years of Tarasenko, even though he has a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
2 now that he's got one with the St. Louis Blues and another with the Florida Panthers, but Necas is just toying with him.
That's so good. I just can't believe they got another 100-point player after getting rid of Mikko Rantanen. That's crazy how Colorado had worked. That's been such a good trade for them, I think.
Yes, and they locked him up long-term, too, avoiding another disastrous contract situation, 8 years of such, at $1 million less than what Rantanen was asking for.
Yeah, I don't think even Colorado's, I know the puck will get iced there for you, I don't even think that they were expecting Marty Necas to hit triple digits.
But he did. Yes, it is ice here by Colorado, but the fact that Necas got triple digits, here I thought originally he was going to be a second-line forward, but now he's a top-line star on Colorado.
Yeah, he's a borderline superstar on this team.
Borderline, indeed. And if you're Carolina, you flip Rantanen for Logan Stankoven. Stankoven has scored in the first 5 goals of this postseason. He's proving himself to be a playoff warrior next to Taylor Hall. Off this face-up, it is a tie-up. Cale Makar does bring it out. Here's Necas again. Will he walk around another Minnesota defender? No, he's going to walk around the point. Yopi Makar, he can dance. He can fish it. He can fire it as Devontae looks to go back for him. Gustafsson had the save on Nathan MacKinnon. That pass gets broken up, and a lucky fan from, let's say, around row R Kobe's and take home a souvenir.
Man, that's crazy when you think about it too for Stankoven. You go all the way as we talked about your timeline because you went through Carolina and Mikko Rantanen that didn't necessarily work out, but then you get Stankoven and some of the other stuff in the process. Jackson Blake is another good young player. I think every team probably ended up happy, and as we mentioned, Dallas, they have to deal with some cap issues, but for Logan Stankoven, I mean, my goodness, you're going to have him there for a long time. A lot of the guys on Carolina are locked up for a long time, and the path certainly seems to be open. So I know I'd be feeling good, especially as that being your second team.
Oh, yeah, of course. You have a second line of Hall, Stankoven, and Blake. You can make the argument that this has been Carolina's best line since the Olympic break.
Yeah.
Hall is an overtime winner game 2 against Philadelphia. This line's been buzzing, and Hall, he's in line with Freddie Anderson as the two front runners in Carolina for a potential Conn spot.
I'm just going to go ahead and give the update again. You gave me good news last time for the Pistons. I'm going to bring the bad news for me. This game is tied at 93 as James Harden makes all 3 free throws being fouled beyond the arc.
Oh, do I dare tempt fate?
I don't know, but we got 5:37 to figure it out. We'll see who wins or if they need OT.
And the Thunder are up 38-30 on the Lakers so far. It's the second quarter, and OKC is turning things on. With that defense, when they get going, they're dangerous.
Yeah, there really isn't another better unit. You can talk about San Antonio as well, and I guess if you're in the West, you'd be thankful one of those teams is probably going to knock each other out.
I mean, between San Antonio and Minnesota, for selfish reasons, I am rooting for Minnesota to pull out the upset, not just because San Antonio is an in-state rival, but because I love how Minnesota is coached, especially in the postseason. Face-off won by Colorado, wanting to get another goal and pile it on Minnesota. And Minnesota's just trying to come back from 2 down. They came close to pulling off such a comeback in Game 3 against Dallas as Marcus Foligno takes a ride along the wall. Nico Sturm, Jared Spurgeon couldn't hold this in. He'll find Jake Middleton. Sends this towards the near boards and gets deflected in. Brett Kulak, one of the more underrated defensive defensemen in the NHL, gets this out for Sam Malinski. It's been a plus-minus machine for the Avalanche, plus 43 in the regular season. He sends this in deep. He wears number 70. Not a conventional number for a defenseman. It's more of a goaltender number. Braden Holtby. As Middleton picks this up from his own zone across for Jared Spurgeon. Up towards the far side as Nick Foligno sends this in deep, goes out for a change. And Colorado will send the third line out. Nazem Kadri sends it to the near corner. Nick Waugh on a puck battle with Jeff Petrie, who was on the 2021 Montreal Canadiens, who made the Stanley Cup final. The Canadiens will face the Buffalo Sabres in the second round. A backhander stopped by Gustafson. Twisted throw back towards the right point. Kept in deep from Burns. He was looking towards Kadri's direction. Cut off by Urov. It is the far corner, in which Minnesota will gain control. Petrie, who wore number 2 with the Florida Panthers, and now he's wearing number 2 in Minnesota. Quick shot, saved by Wedgwood, and he'll cover.
Think this puck, because you're going to get a little bit of a delay here, admittedly, Alec, hit Wedgwood up in the mask, and he's going to need to go over and possibly get some repairs. So we're going to take a little bit of a bereavement here and take a break.
The 12 goals between 10 different goal scorers in the last 5 periods offensively for the Colorado Avalanche. You have 9 players with at least 2 points on this Avs offense. That's how deadly they are.
You know, we talk about the depth, as you mentioned. I see the camera shot here. Marcus Johansson takes the strap off of the goaltender of Scott Wedgwood, and now it looks like we might be getting a little settled here as he gets all of his equipment all set up and get back into the goal crease. But that was a definitely odd look. They just dislodged the strap on the back of his mask.
Yeah, whenever you're a goaltender and you get hit on the mask like that, you're always going to go over to the bench for precautionary measures because you don't want your helmet to fall off at any point. The referee does that, automatic stoppage.
Yeah, you have to do that. Again, this full arena crowd has been enjoying this. And as Alec just mentioned, another one, 16 of 18 skaters in this series have at least 1 point. talk about the supreme depth up and down the board. That's why I think this is so daunting for Minnesota. That's why I said in the opening, this is a game that they've got to get, because I just don't think you're going to go back to XL Energy Center and find a way to win both games. I could be shocked and surprised by that, but I don't see it happening.
Oh, we know how much of a seesaw this series can go. At the very best, it's going to be these two teams exchanging wins with one another. And in that series, Quincy win for Minnesota against Dallas, that's just the second win ever in their franchise history, which they won a playoff game while maintaining a series lead. As unbelievable as that stat is. And both times, it was a closeout game. The only other time, 2015 against St. Louis. Here's Quinn Hughes off the face-off win by Zuccarello. Kaprizov, bouncing puck. MacKinnon grabs it. Now they have him Wedgwood up front, and this will be sent in deep. Quinn Hughes on a foot race. Wins it against Necas because it was stumped in from beyond the red line, no icing. Cale Makar walks the point. He is forced wide by Quinn Hughes. Superstar on superstar defenseman. We love to see that. One-timer Malinski. He fired this one wide to goal. Makar is on the hold. He played just 17 minutes last game. Gustafsson to save on Malinski. And a rebound could not be handled by Necas. On to the far half boards. It is Faber who sent this out. Brought down by Malinski, and the Avs will reset on a quick change. Necas take his time, and this bounces off the stick. Lehkonen can't dump this in. And Minnesota will go back with Trent. Drop down for Hughes. Hughes to the left circle, walks around. Hughes fires one off Wedgwood. MacKinnon has trouble with the puck. Why to go back for Hughes? Two Avs were in the way. Hughes trying to hold it, and he does. Here's MacKinnon, acquired from Nashville for a second-round pick. Phil Guerin loves his versatility on the bottom six. Back for Middleton. Across the ice for Spurgeon. Spurgeon walks around Necas. Spurgeon holding on to from Gretzky's office. Looks at Middleton. It does! Fires it up high. And after 33 seconds of zone time, Colorado can finally make changes. Middleton looking to catch them off guard. Can't. Trenton. Tarasenko. Stopped by Wedgwood. He'll hold 5-4.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the zone time, Alec, because I was going to say, I think that was the longest stretch of pressure that Minnesota might have had in this game so far. The shot totals are low, all things considered 15-12, so we're starting to get that defensive game that we know we were going to get a little bit of an adjustment of at least. And I don't think Minnesota's playing all that poorly, but they have now about halfway through regulation to figure it out.
And they need more from their big three of Kaprizov, Boldy, and Hughes. They know they are talented, and Kaprizov already has a goal. Then we see something from Boldy here. They're out there on the ice together. Boldy had his stick slashed. He has to get a new stick from the bench. Here is Marcus Johansson. It's not Kaprizov and Boldy on the ice together, but it felt like it. I almost saw 97. This I saw 90. Dumped back in by Colorado. It'll be retrieved by David Hunt, who had to brace himself for a hit from Landeskog. This is Minnesota with the puck. Now to the near side. Here's Hunt. Hunt will send this down deep towards the near corner. Retrieved by Burns, the former San Jose Shark, former Carolina Hurricane. Up the far side, it is Colorado. Now Nichushkin. Nobody there on the drop pass. And Colorado's won 4 straight game 2s at home. Here is Nick Walker looking for another one. Drop back for Kadri. Save! Gustafsson. He'll hang on with 9:45. It's nice seeing Nas getting a shot here.
Absolutely. Maybe not all that difficult there for Gustafsson, but it was off the rush. It was a good drop, as you said, between Wall and Kadri. That's when he's got to have as we go to break.
The only goal in the second period being Nick Waugh, and Nazem Kadri. He could have made it 4-1, but here we stand.
And every time I chatter my teeth and I flip the box on the other side of the NBA score, it's just back and forth between the Cavs and Pistons. And now the Pistons are up 103-96 with 2:30 left to go in the fourth, trying to take a game 1 edge in round 2.
And what I posted on the jump vote, and this was posted right after the draft lottery. Jim Rutherford is stepping down as president of hockey operations of the Vancouver Canucks.
So that just means that we're not going to get the all-time quotes that he usually brings anymore.
Well, sadly, no. But Vancouver sees the jump that Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford did in this tenure, and they decided we need to clean house. It's overdue.
I think so. And I think I can finally say this again, whether or not I know you and I agree with it. I know it comes at the expense of your Penguins, and I apologize for that. But Rick Tocchet was not the problem in Vancouver because look at what he's doing there with the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know why they ever got rid of him.
Yeah, I don't know why they moved on from him. And even though it sucks that we lost to his Flyers, the fact that Vancouver's in this position, they need a lot of soul searching to do because there's not really a future here. While Philadelphia, just coming off of beating the Penguins, who Rick Tocchet knows a lot. Remember, he was an assistant on the Penguins in those cup-winning years. The Flyers have a promising future ahead.
They do, but I think your Carolina Hurricanes will take care of them, so you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, probably not worried about Philadelphia unless a drastic comeback happens on their end. However, whatever the series goes, I think Carolina is going to make Philadelphia learn the hard way that nothing comes easy against this Hurricanes team. Ottawa had to learn the hard way too. Here's Middleton off the faceoff. This gets the punt at center ice and grabbed by Colorado. 12 scoring chances for the Minnesota Wild in this game. And he only covered on one of them. Here's Marcus Foligno, who fires this wide. He was expecting someone to pick up this puck, and it was outside the zone when they got that chance. Dumped back in deep. Wedgwood drives this towards the left circle, and Colorado plays this one out. Tip further, and this will be Nazem Kadri sent it ahead. Drop pass out for Blankenberg, who sent this one further. And Minnesota will scoop up for the near half boards. This is a tripping penalty against Minnesota.
Ryan Hartman going to go to the box for tripping Nick Blankenberg, and there was a commotion near the players' bench. It looked like one of the referees actually got checked into the bench, Alec.
Oh, man. We have to see what happened here for Ryan Hartman with one of the referees getting checked in the bench. Yeah, that was one of the linesmen. It was Matt McPherson, who was right onto the players' bench, right in front of Matt Boldy. Goodness.
So Colorado goes to another power play, and they scored on their first one.
And as they say in hockey, the playoffs are a chance to redeem yourselves, even for players who are struggling a lot. That was the case with Gage Gonzalez in Game 6 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Alex Steele, who hasn't scored a lot in the playoffs, he scored a game winner in Game 7. As Minnesota wins this face-off, chance to clear this out, and they do. Strange to believe, John, that the Montreal Canadiens are the first team ever to win a playoff game with single-digit shots on goal.
Yeah, that was absolutely nuts. You take it away here.
MacKinnon over to Makar, walking to center point. He'll go over to Nazem Kadri. Back for Makar, who walks along the center point again. Back for Kadri, top of the right circle. Feeds it down low for Landeskog. Kadri looks for MacKinnon. Quick shot, rebound, Necas. Faber drops down to block. MacKinnon feeds it back up for Makar. Makar walks the top of the left circle. Let's go. Fires this one wide. Kadri holds up, goes back for Makar. Makar feeds it for Kadri again. Doesn't shoot it. Instead goes for Landeskog. Tic-tac-toe. With MacKinnon setting up in the slot, he doesn't get it. Marty Necas frees it up for Makar. Stepping into it. MacKinnon! Stopped by Gustafsson. Landeskog keeps it alive for Colorado. Makar tried to poke him free. MacKinnon joins the puck battle too. And he gets it. David MacKinnon walks the top of the left circle. He'll feed Makar from the point. Goes to Kadri. Right circle. Landeskog from the corner. Near side. Kadri. Right circle again. Saucers one over to Makar. Stepping into it. MacKinnon. One-touch feed. Didn't reach Landeskog. And Minnesota finally gets it out with 35 to spare. It looked like they were half deep into their own zone for what seemed like an eternity. But finally, they get a chance to breathe for now. The second it comes out, and leads away is Brock Nelson with 20. Drops out for Lehkonen. Brock Nelson can get the return feed back. Here's Nico Sturmfeld. Sees two defenders on Colorado on back, and his ice retreat. This is flipped on down the distance with 10 seconds, and Devon Taves will reset. He has Sam Malinski with him. 5 seconds left in the Hartman penalty. 3 seconds is sent to deep. Here's Nichushkin with one. Power play is over. The shot was broken up by stick. And this will be sent on down the distance. Wedgwood start from all 200 feet.
That's a pretty good look there for Ryan Hartman. No coming out of the box to get the clear. It's going to force the face up on the other end. And a helpless feeling for Brock Faber blocks the shot from MacKinnon. And then man, oh man, has to try to make a play from his knees.
It felt like there was one moment which I didn't see his skate blade explode, but it felt like his skate blade was letting loose.
You're going to have a good call in front of you. Take it.
Kirill Kaprizov off the faceoff, dangles around Nelson. Kaprizov backhand beam, loose in his glove. Here's Nelson trying to clear. One half players down, picked up by Kaprizov. Pops open in the near half board. Being shoved away is Hughes. From behind them, loose stick on the ice. Devon Taves, heading Hughes towards the far corner. Zuccarello's there. Freezes face up back for Faber. Faber falls down. It gets picked up again by Kaprizov, or excuse me, Zuccarello. Back towards the right side, Middleton. Back down low for Kaprizov. Kaprizov, long shot deflected on the rebound. Scott Wedge was there, and there's a tie-up from behind the nets.
And Brock Nelson blew up Ryan Hartman near that left dot. He got up very quickly, and then Quinn Hughes had to leap over one of the other players near the left dot just to keep that play alive. What a wacky sequence.
The only question is, was Ryan Hartman eligible to be hit? Because I didn't think he had the control of the puck. He didn't. He got blown up by Brock Nelson, and the referee saw that. They would have called that interference penalty.
I would have think so too, Alec. I agree with your point.
The hits are 18-16 Minnesota, and the physicality, of course, in the playoffs, it starts to ramp up. Carolina sits at the tone early as this slapper gets blocked. That was Jared Spurgeon. You remember that Carolina did set the tone in the playoffs, and they had 57 hits in the opening game of the entire playoffs. As the Avalanche wanted to get this out of their own zone, Jake Middleton keeps us alive to near half boards. Quinn Hughes also there, or excuse me, Yakov Trent. I saw 43, turned to be 13. Lucky number 13. As this bounces through center, the Avalanche trying to triple up on their lead. Parker Kelly tangled up. No arm up in the air. Thought it was a hole for a moment. Tossed behind the net for Drury, who backhands it towards the left point. Held in deep, and the Avs will see this roll over to Minnesota. 16 of 18 skaters in this series have at least 1 point. We're not even halfway through the series. Back in deep are the Wild. They get this one out as a race back for this puck will be touched up by Cale Makar for an icing.
Yeah, what a difference a game makes here. Philip Gustafson so far 12 of 15, Wedgwood 15 of 16, as we're just getting underneath the final 5 of the second.
5:25 left here to second period as Ian Genge is joined along here. How are you doing, Ian?
Doing well, gentlemen. I did not know if you guys would be on tonight. That's my bad. I should have checked.
All good. Because we've been there before at times. As 5:20 is left in the second period, David MacKinnon and Artturi Lehkonen. Lehkonen, who went to a Stanley Cup final with Montreal, won one here in Colorado. Good times in Denver, as they're back to be a premier Stanley Cup contender. Fired in deep off of Wedgwood, David MacKinnon, 1.32 career playoff points per game. Fifth highest in Stanley Cup playoff history. This every pass went wide of what I believe was Artturi Lehkonen. Yes, that was Lehkonen. Makar kept it alive. Takes a long shot. He wanted to deflect it in front. They didn't get it. Necas backhand says to keep it alive over to Makar, who walks the point. Johansson forcing him on the backhand. Makar gets stripped of the puck. It goes behind the crease. Lehkonen tried to poke it free, and he did. Goes to MacKinnon. Minnesota tied him up. Sends in deep. Will this go keep it up for an icing? Yes, just barely with 4:30 left.
With 10 goals in his last 12 playoff games, Nathan MacKinnon is in a top 5 playoff point list that features Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid.
Now put MacKinnon for third in the 21st century behind McDavid and Draisaitl. It's ridiculous the work that this trio does when the lights shine brightest.
Yeah, it is. That's why they're so deep. You talk about everything else. It's going to make for a good series, but we're going to need a pushback on another side.
And of course, we know about the two-star defensemen, Makar and Hughes. Of course, the showdowns between them, whether it be Colorado versus Vancouver, Colorado versus Minnesota, Canada versus USA. You name the storyline. Makar and Hughes are won the international stage. Makar won the Four Nations with Canada. Hughes won the Olympics with USA. Here is that Boldy goes again. And a stick was in the way. That was Burns' stick. What work there for the 41-year-old? Colorado trying to get this out. They can't, as the Wild keep it alive along the far half boards. Tried to send this in deep, went off a body. Hughes couldn't hold on the clear. Less than 4 minutes to go. Colorado leads 3-1. Nava, joined here by John Ott. 88 Genge here. Jumped in from the far corner. As Colorado looking to go up 4-1. Bounces out to center. As it's played through center ice. Minnesota in control again. That's Zuccarello sends it to the far corner to dump it. Right, Hartman arrives first. Severing pass. Hit Landeskog. Minnesota trying to keep it alive, which they will. Around the boards. And held on the backhand by Jeff Petrie. Kirill Kaprizov. Pinned by Brett Kulak at the far corner. Makar also arrives. Getting in deep is Jake Middleton. Nico Sturm also there. Freed up the space over to Zuccarello, who tries one stop by Wedgwood. 3:10 left. After that, wrister. This is back into the Minnesota zone. Takes a wild bounce, no pun intended, as Sturm drops out for Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov from the far corner. Looks to send this back. Kaprizov is tied up. It's freed up to the far half boards. Hughes trying to hold, cannot. It comes out for Nelson off the feet. Faber 6 it away. And Colorado will go for a change. This is Quinn Hughes starting up. Hughes. Outstretched feet far side near the benches. Riding along, it is Marcus Foligno. Marcus takes a look, says this deep for his brother Nick. Nick. Stripped in the puck by O'Connor. It's played out. The Wild put it back in deep onto the late offside, and Nick Blankenberg will send this wide. Philip Gustafson. Drury tried to poke us in deep. Puck is loose and picked up by the Wild. 2:15 left in the second period. On the Spinorama pass, the Wild get cut away. Bouncing puck picked up by Drury. Delayed offside here, and Faber will be first to the puck. 2:05 left. Which Wild player is going to score here? Should there be a goal scorer? Minnesota up next. My money may be on Kirill Kaprizov again. Quinn Hughes. Faber. Waiting. Faber doesn't slap it. Now does. It reaches Burns. From the near corner, going opposite side. Sends this one out. And Colorado will pursue this. Jake Middleton beats out the approaching Av. Artturi Lehkonen. Lehkonen having Middleton deep on the corner. Several Wild players arrive, and so do several Avs. The Wild come away with it. Down the far side, past McCarron. McCarron ties up his man. Offside is waved up. McCarron in the far corner, centering pass for Tarasenko. Then they get out of the way. Middleton gets tied up. No shot. And the Avs will go back. This pass down by Spurgeon. 1:13 left in the second period. What has been an entertaining Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals. Michael McCarron sends this towards the near corner. Backhand pass going to make it all the way through, but it comes out for Hunt. Hunt on his backhand. Goes behind the net. Now comes out towards the near corner. Petrie goes across the ice. Deep one-timer. Fired wide with 55 seconds. Kept in deep as Colorado wants to clear it out. They get some help from Sam Malinski. It takes a bounce over to Jared Spurgeon, who will have to restart this rush. Or excuse me, David Hunt, who's wearing 48 and is a lefty. Spurgeon wears 46 and is a righty. Minnesota in the white, Colorado in the burgundy. Towards the far corner, it is Brett Kulak. Stripped to the puck by Boldy. Comes down towards the far half boards again. Captain by Minnesota. Loose in front and Wedgwood covers with 27.3 left.
You've had a long stretch of call there, Alec. I just want to make this point for anyone listening or following along at home. That last 5 minutes or so that you called, you started to notice, did you not, that the space was getting a little bit tighter on the ice. Both of these teams are on their best defensive intensity right now.
I'm afraid that the coaches want to see from Game 1 because defense is what is required to excel in the playoffs. Florida learned that after 22. Colorado knows this well. It's not just the offense, it's the defense. Brock Nelson is 8 of 9 on the faceoff tonight. Ryan Hartman 7 of 13. He improves as a faceoff man with the Wild, and Nelson wins his 9th faceoff tonight on his 10th try. Brock Faber ties up now Nichushkin. Does Minnesota get a goal here before the period ends? 15 seconds before we find out. Hughes gets stripped. Gustafson plays this one out. You have to be careful. 8 seconds. And Faber is forced deeper by Landeskog. 5 seconds. from Dick Waugh, the Avalanche are perfect 44-0-0 this season when leading after 2. Minnesota looking to spoil that.
I don't even know how it's possible to be 44-0-0 when you lead after 2, even with a team that's as good as Colorado. But I guess we'll just press on and find out.
This is otherworldly types of oh my goodness this season. We speak of the Panthers record from last season when they lead after any playoff period under Paul Maurice. So that's another level of oh my goodness.
The physicality picked up a little bit for Colorado in that period because, again, the first we said 13-10 Minnesota. Now it's 20-20 apiece. The shot board rate's 20-16, so not a lot of attempts there for either, but Minnesota's got the edge there. And then the face-offs, which was a large disparity from the first at 14-7 for Colorado, has got a little more even, 23-17. Really, the only power play was the one goal in the second. Colorado still 1 for 2. Minnesota did not get a call yet. And from that second period, they're 0 for 1. I would think, if I have to guess, they're probably due for the next one. I think the refs might have missed maybe 1 or 1.5 in Minnesota's. That didn't go in their favor, I should say.
Well, perhaps. Yeah, an interference call that we mentioned.
Right.
That Brock Nelson could have been penalized for, in which he hit Ryan Hartman, and Hartman, they had control of the puck. In fairness to the refs, though, Hartman was in close proximity to Kirill Kaprizov, who had the puck. So it's a judgment of human error, which I can forgive the refs for.
And I can say this officially, for the Pistons, they survive and win game 1. Cade Cunningham had 23 points, Tobias Harris 20. They win 111-101 against the Cavs to open up round 2 at LCA.
Jalen Duren with 12 rebounds in the game. Duren was largely criticized for not being physical enough in the first round against Orlando. Here he was more of a rebounding presence. But yeah, you have to have your players execute their roles to perfection. And Duren was a rebounding machine.
If you can give me a double-double, Alec, that's all I'm really asking for. Make sure that you get those rebounds. You got Dennis Jenkins with 12 off the bench. Right now, the update, I'm sure Ian's following this along for OKC and the Lakers. Looks like that one just hit the half. OKC's got a 61-53 lead over the Lake Show.
Yeah. But mostly, fellas, it started out rough, but more now. My Kansas City Royals have righted the ship in a big way.
Yeah, they have. They're starting to win some games, and nobody else in the AL Central is really taking control. So you're putting yourself right back in it, not that you were ever out of it.
Yep, and it is all thanks to our latest free agent acquisition, who is not, and it's something that doesn't even exist in reality. Fellas, I shared it in the Jumbotron. The numbers do not lie. Introducing the newest addition to the Royals bullpen. Or actually, no, to the Royals roster. Pecker, John Horton. Oh, you may be laughing now, but those numbers from before he came here to ever since he got handed to the Royals bullpen by a fan. Well, the numbers speak for themselves. Oh my goodness. And now, I'm not the only one having a little bit of fun with baseball. Raising the Colons and the Jolly Rogers.
Yeah. There's a lot of Jolly Rogers, especially in those times when we face Cincinnati. I still disbelieve, John. 7 straight walks in the second game against the Reds.
Wait, when was this?
At our series against Cincinnati, the second game, which we won 17-7.
Okay, we'll look at this.
Which we had 7 straight walks.
What?
In an inning.
7 consecutive walks in an inning tied an MLB record. Holy
Yeah.
cow! How do you do that?
And John, this isn't clickbait. This was on national television that they did this.
Oh my goodness! And I'm glad for you, Alec, and that, but I mean that is awful. 7 walks. I mean 7 consecutive walks.
Yeah, it is for Cincinnati's part because I know the entire NL Central is becoming good right out of the gates.
Every
The 1 year which the Pirates became good and the NL Central decided to wake up. The Cardinals are good thanks to J.J. Wetterhole and Jordan Walker having a resurgence. The Cubs took another step forward thanks to Alex Bregman. The Brewers are still the Brewers. In Cincinnati, they're getting ungodly pitching track records from their pitchers.
So they might have lost 4 in a row now, as Pittsburgh did well in that series against Cincinnati. But as I'm looking at this, Alec, as you profiled, every team in the NL Central is above 500. Milwaukee's actually in last at 18 and 16. They have a plus 42 run differential, and they're in last in the Central. And Cincinnati, who's 20 and 15, has a minus 23 run differential.
That's insane. Go ahead, Ian.
It's nuts, John. And what's crazy is, you gotta understand, when we were 8 and 17, I was ready to just say, okay, let this play out.
Right.
Have another wasted year. And then they started winning, and everyone else just started tripping over themselves. Like, John, what is going on with your Tigers, man?
I'm gonna go ahead.
Is this all stemming from the fact that they were the only team to seriously consider Framber Valdez as a starting pitcher? Is this karma?
I'm not going to say that because I think Framber Valdez has been a good signing for Detroit. You could talk about karma in terms of maybe the injury history that followed because the Tigers are just beat up like a used car right now. And they're not playing well. They got waxed by Boston in 2 straight games, which you can't do at this point. They're still, even with those 2 losses, 12 and 5 at home, which is great. But you can't be 6 and 14 on the road.
No, you can't.
So yeah, that's basically where it stems from right now. But as you said, you got the Guardians at 18 and 18. The Tigers are 18 19. The White Sox are only a half a game out as well, alongside the Royals. And then the Twins, because of that, at 16 and 20, who swept the Tigers in a 4-game series, by the way, which we talked about earlier when Ian was with me weeks ago. Nobody's out of it, and I guess the Central looks like the AL West in a nutshell. It's the same 2 things. I guess that makes sense why everybody in the NL Central is above 500 because nobody in the AL Central or the West is.
But fellas, I do have a joke for you.
Go ahead.
No matter what season it is, no matter what time of the year it is, long Mets will reign supreme.
Oh boy.
Well,
how are they collapsing this badly?
It's because they didn't address what they needed to address in the offseason, or they did so spectacularly bad. One of your best offensive pieces, Pete Alonso, leaves in free agency. They do nothing to address it. They go into the season with pretty much the same roster, minus Pete Alonso, but with Freddie Peralta and a couple other pieces. Oh, and no Brandon Nimmo. And no Brandon Nimmo either, who's doing good things for the Rangers.
Yeah, they traded him away for Marcus Semien, who's washed.
Yeah, and dear God, I the Mets fans have a collective here on the good old Twitter machine, and they do spaces every time that there is a game. They want David Stearns fired. They want Mendoza fired. They want basically the entire roster torn down, and they want Steve Cohen to become. They want Cohen to go through the Mets management like Sherman did through the South in the Civil War. Scorched earth policy. It is long Mets. And the only thing they have to look forward to this season is Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla, baby.
Oh, man. They're just down bad at Queens right now. Oh.
And meanwhile, the Yankees have found form again because life isn't fair.
Well, and we're still wondering what is going on with the Blue Jays after that magical year last season.
To be fair, they started off this bad last season too, and look where it got them.
Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Well, especially the injury bug that's been plaguing them. So we'll give the Blue Jays time.
So there's that. Let's see what else. Dodgers things, San Diego things. The Rockies for the first part of the year were in total garbage, so that was interesting. The NL East is pretty much the Braves have won the NL East, and we're not even a quarter of the way through the season.
I'm sure you guys would talk about this at some point. I didn't think the Phillies were going to be this bad. I thought that they'd regress, but they've been pretty bad. I mean, you talk about as bad as the Mets have been. The Phillies are only 16-20. They got the same record as the Nats.
Oh, yeah. And they fired Rob Thompson.
Right. And for the longest time, I thought Rob Thompson was a really good manager for the Phillies. He got close. He didn't make it. He had that some kind of work for Dave Roberts and the LA Dodgers at times, right? When you have some good teams and you don't make it, but then you win. Rob Thompson just never was able to get over the hump, I guess.
No, he don't. And there's, and if you really think about it, there's one other thing. There's one other factor. Your GM is still Dave Dombrowski, as far as I know, right?
Yes.
He's still. So your GM is still Dave Dombrowski, who will spend money. I'm pretty sure he ties down the owners every offseason and says, "Give me what I want, and I'll let you go." They're like, "Yes, sir."
What's that mean when it says "call the police, but not for me"? That's Dave Dombrowski with the money.
Yeah, pretty much. But they're, with Dave Dombrowski as your GM, the Phillies are spending. You still have Kyle Schwarber, who continues to hit score bombs. They're not. The Phillies, although they're trying to bounce back, they're old.
Yeah.
When you look at their, sure, you still got Kyle Schwarber, but Bryce Harper has fallen off from where he's supposed to be. To be honest, the only bright spot if we look at the Phillies, hitting, I say, no, never mind. Bryce Harper's hitting 286. I thought it was worse. Trey Turner, though, he's hitting at a 241 clip with a 671 OPS. Not the numbers you expect to see from Trey Turner, who has, throughout his career, been a very, very consistent on-base guy. And, Alec Bohm has fallen off a cliff. Bryson Stott is average. JT Realmuto is, a typical catcher. And the biggest bright spot right now is your 9-hole hitter, your rookie Justin Crawford, who's got one of the higher averages on your team.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they're just getting a little bit old. And that's what ends up happening. We got about 3 minutes left to go here before we start the third. Alex, since it's your first day back in a while, like I know you've been doing some casts periodically like myself, I'm going to let you close today. I'll start the first 10. Is that okay?
That's cool.
All right. So hopefully I get a chance to get some late goals there for you because you only had 1 goal call in that period. I thought we were going to see another 4. We talked about a defensive intensity that was needed in game 2, but I think this series has been pretty good so far, and I've enjoyed what we've watched in this game. It's been pretty good.
Oh yeah, we need a mix of defense and goal scoring in this game, and we got a mix of both of them. And it's good news that we're getting the defense all better here in the second game.
So before we get a chance to start here in this third, do you have any thoughts? Because I know tomorrow I'm going to get back on the mic again. In between Vegas and Anaheim, is Anaheim going to work their way back into the series?
The hope is that Lehkonen has a better game in compared to game 1. Yes, he was vital in defeating the Oilers for the Ducks in that 6-game series victory, but that was a nightmare game. The waved off icing in which he was ahead of Jack Eichel was one thing, but he passed up open shots. He wasn't that great defensively in that game 1, but as the series was on, I'm going to say he should be fine.
And then one last thing for me, Alec, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna do it here because I trust your judgment. Give me a prediction. I know the series has yet to start yet, but who advances to the third round? Montreal or Buffalo?
This one's tight, but it can go one way or another. I was impressed with Jakob Dobish's goaltending against Tampa Bay in the first round. Alex Lyon has been clutch, though Dobish has developed nicely over the last few months and is turning into Montreal's #1 goaltender before our very eyes, ever since he took over the crease with Sam Montembeault earlier in the season. Goaltending was constantly a weak point throughout the season for the Habs, but now it's looking like a strength. I think Montreal needs to get going 5-on-5, but I think it should all the dominoes fall. It's a coin flipper series. I'm not really confident with either pick. Originally, I'm going to say Montreal wins in 7 games, but it's that close. I can't really decide.
I think if I play devil's advocate, I could say Buffalo in 7, but when we were all on the broadcast together, Cooper made that point. He wasn't sure if Buffalo should win another round because then you're going to get more expectations than you expect. But I won't play devil's advocate. I'm going to lean with you. I'm going to say Montreal in 7, especially if Dobish plays like that. That's what particularly impressed me because between Montembeault, Dobish, and Fowler, you had 3 goalies that had a save percentage of below 880 combined. And if Dobish can play like that, I made the point for Ken Hughes over the last few years. I think he's one of the best GMs in the business. If they get their goaltending and their defense continues to improve, Montreal could compete for Stanley Cups.
And that could be worrisome for my Carolina Hurricanes should Dobish continue that form. Montreal's defense completely round form, and they got a boost with Noah Dobson coming back.
Okay, gentlemen, before we get to the play-by-play, just a yes or no answer.
Yes.
Has getting the number one overall pick saved the jobs of the entire executive branch of Toronto?
Well, for who's already there, I think they get because they've had a wild 48 hours, but there's already been a lot of folded chairs. But I'll say yes for now, but I'm not even sold on all the names that Alec gave me. That's a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, see, I'm with John there. Yes for now, but the jury's out on John Shake. I'm not really confident.
Kulak loses the puck. Here's a one-timer here. 1 minute has essentially expired. I know Alec is a little bit behind, but I'm going to leave this across to him when I get another stoppage here so you can take it from that 10-minute mark. As Boldy will watch this one go back down. He might have to make his way back. Middleton will touch. Colorado cannot change. And if you're just joining us, it is a 3-1 score line. No, it is not 9-6 like it was in game one with 15 goals. Nick Waugh, as I would profile the only goal of the second, that was at 1:24 of the period from Colton and Brock Nelson off of a pretty good cross-pass play entering the zone. Gabe Landeskog scored on the bumper from Nathan MacKinnon at 8:24 of the first. Kirill Kaprizov had that 6 seconds goals apart from Hartman and Zuccarello, and Marty Necas opened the scoring from MacKinnon and Kulak. And that is where we are in the 3-1 scoreline. Colorado threatening to take a 2-0 series lead. And I'm on record saying Minnesota's got to win this game. I don't think they can afford to go down 2-0 at XL. But long shot from the point is held in the tripper by Gustafsson. We'll get a stoppage at 18:22.
Yeah, Minnesota's right. A 3-game, 4-goal streak. Entering this game, they cannot, as you said, they cannot afford to lose this. The best they can is split the 2 games here at Ball Arena. And they say it's not a series until one team loses at home. But right now, we're seeing this scenario of Colorado defending home ice.
Yeah, we are. And I usually don't disagree with that sentiment. Here's a backhand right in on net. That was a rush. Couldn't get a number on. I think that was Jakob Trenin, but Vladimir makes a phenomenal save. If it was any other team other than Colorado, I would completely agree with that sentiment. Michael McCarron, they're going to get some camera shots now. So I'll let Alec take over in a moment as this one bounced in front. It was just a backhand for Trenin that was right out in front from Michael McCarron. Made a good feed.
Yes, it's Scott Wedgwood speeding Jakob Trenin down the middle, who was going untouched for a wide open look. Yeah, that was one of the best chances for Minnesota on the game to draw even with Colorado. They're down by 2, and you know how badly they needed this. So close to scoring.
20-21 now for Wedgwood. I know we can talk about the defense. I know we all agree. But I do think Wedgwood looks a heck of a lot more comfortable this time around, especially when you look at that last save, Alec.
Yes, indeed.
We'll take this face-off one more time. Hartman will get set to take it, or McCarron, excuse me, will get set to take it. Tarasenko will be back out there as well. Again, he had that one-handed tuck the other day and ended up scoring a goal. It's hard to believe Minnesota scores 6 goals and they don't win the game. As we profiled, they had more goals in that first game than the Kings had in a 4 entire game series. And they had as many shots, Colorado, goals in 9 that shots for Montreal Canadiens. You had a lot of statistical anomalies from that game 7. Just crazy things can happen on the same day in hockey. It's picked up and off the back skate, trying to find Kirill Kaprizov. This is stolen, and now some work to do back and behind the net. Brock Faber off the spin and turn. They'll pick it up now toward the left side blue line. We'll do the jerseys in white and the mix of green. We'll be going left to right. And the cerulean and maroon of the Colorado Avalanche. It is now toward the left side for John Hynes' squad and spin around the embankment. Nick Blankenberg tied up here for Jared Spurgeon off the pinch. Trenin's pass gets blocked off Nate Dogg, and this goes to the left side. Pinched in off the glass. And Minnesota will go chase it into their own end. Picked up now by Marty Necas. He gets the steal. Throws it up to a left side open Devon Toews, who finds the clear near the left side red line. Picked up now by Minnesota off the long flip. This will be canceled off the left side red line. Good stick chop. Jared Bednar's squad gets the steal. And the Ball Arena crowd, a lot of them sitting right now. They're waiting for the next goal. Maybe get Nathan MacKinnon here toward the left side dot. We'll take a shot up high. This bounces off the glass, and then the play is blown dead at 16:48.
The speed that Colorado possesses on the top end lines, Minnesota can counter with some of the speed of their own. We saw with Jakob Trenin, Kirill Kaprizov can provide such speed, and the overall speed that's required in today's game shows how much the game has changed over the years.
Yeah, because you have these top lines. I would extend them even to the first 3 lines between all of them. If you're not keeping your guys up in tip-top shape and you're keeping your ships at 45 seconds, as we profile, Nazem Kadri on the 3rd line for Colorado is an embarrassment of riches. That's why you end up with scores like you did in Game 1. And for able to have the defensive intensity switch this much already, honestly, only 4 goals scored. I'm pretty impressed. I knew that there was going to be an adjustment, but Even this probably adjusted faster than I would have expected, as Jeff Petrie takes a hit. Kaprizov on his backhand turnaround chance, woefully wide. Petrie now try to pick this up again, the Michigan native. Landeskog, Brock Nelson. As this goes to the left side, Zuccarello trying to keep it alive. This is still contested. There's a long shot bounce out in front of Redwood. It's contested by Nelson. He gets a stick chop in the middle of the slot. Minnesota can't get a shot. And now Quinn Hughes has to gather this across center ice. Here's Zuccarello on the backhand. That's a pass that went wanting. Kirill Kaprizov will play it off the bounce toward the left side dot. Here's a spin and turn. Hughes gets knocked down, makes a play, and it's going to be a tripping call finally against Colorado. Minnesota going to get their second power play. Brock Nelson going to sit.
The Brock Nelson gets the penalty. It put Hughes to make the play up through the middle. That Minnesota was looking for any semblance of a power play. They finally get the call that goes their way. They haven't had a lot of success on the power play or on special teams overall in the first round. They want the second round to be a different story.
Yes, they do. We profiled it earlier in the first, Alec, when you were with me. 5 shots on goal, and their first power play had a lot of traffic on front as well. They looked good. They just could not solve Wedgwood. And I'm going to say it now. Even at 15:40 the third in their second power play, this is a must score for me.
It is. This is a must score power play for Minnesota. They cannot let this go to waste. Not even if it is against the best penalty kill in the NHL.
Your numbers profiled on the screen now: 4 for 29, 2 for 25, all the way across. As this is settled now, Spurgeon, Boldy, trying to not run into his own teammate, leaves it to Quinn Hughes in the high slot. Back to Matthew. Boldy, now to Quinn. He'll play catch. Slap pass. As this is recollected on the left side red line. Boldy now makes one man miss. He's still with the puck on his forehand. Dropping off for Hughes in that same spot. Picked up here as they exchange lanes. Boldy shoots, and this is no screen. Easy glove save for Wedgwood.
If you're Minnesota, you need to have someone at the front of the net. Take away Wedgwood's eyes. As Wedgwood, he was tracking the puck with ease. He knows what direction the puck is going. Because as those pucks are directed further back, Colorado's penalty kill is doing a good job getting Minnesota away from the high danger areas. The duo of Parker Kelly and Jack Drury, that's an excellent penalty kill.
Yeah, you got Brent Burns, a pretty good hold there for Hartman, not allowing him to go anywhere. You got 2 Redwoods battling in front of the net. And now Burns, who stayed out there, will throw this one down the ice to Philip Gustafsson. Gustafsson has given up 3 on 13 of 16, so the goaltending relief hasn't been there. Hartman off a one-on-one. He gets taken down. Here's a wrister, bounces off of Wedgwood, works him behind the net. Kaprizov trying to find Hughes. It's stick chopped out of the air. Kaprizov gloves it down. He gets worked over near the left side of the glass, and now Brent Burns probably doing too much. He's slashing at Zuccarello, and Zuccarello is giving it back to Chewbacca here. Things are getting spicy.
Oh, man. The stretch pass by Ryan Hartman was one thing. Then the chaos broke loose after Hartman got sandwiched along the boards. We know these two play the same division, and these two teams don't like each other. The beef has been brewing since 2003, and Brent Burns and Matt Zuccarello, of course, they're feeding into this rivalry big time.
Yeah, Brent Burns goes after Kaprizov, gives him 3 shots, and then one, I think, toward the kidneys on the end of it. That's what made Hartman a little bit upset. We'll just get a neutral zone draw. And then Hartman with a shove right on the face-off circle. Now Boldy's going to get set to take it. Hartman's about to blow a gas lid as this goes back around now. Picked up here for Colorado, but he's got to be careful to not get a little too extracurricular. He's going to get called. Here is Quinn Hughes. They'll drop it now for Boldy. Ball Arena fans are booing Ryan Hartman. I don't blame them. Quinn Hughes, pirouette. He's got it in the high slot. Late for Zuccarello, wrister. And this one bounced off the inboards. Hartman recollects. Left side dot. Here's Zuccarello. Now for Hartman at the bumper. Cross Kaprizov. Oh, he's robbed by Wedgwood.
Oh, man. I got to see it in real time. Fans, they were pulling Ryan Hartman, justifiably so. They thought that should have been a penalty against Hartman for a shove off the faceoff. Perhaps a face-off violation. And Zuccarello, he fires it wide. Hartman gets robbed big time by Scott Wedgwood. Zuccarello set this up. Left circle. Kaprizov. What a great A look. That might have been the left toe, I think. And then the shoving matches continue.
You take it the rest of the way, Alec, because I think Matt Boldy took a few fists and he doesn't like it.
Oh, yeah. He got knocked down pretty hard. There's sticks over the ice. There's lumber all over the ice. Somebody has to call customer service at Lowe's.
I'm looking at this now in real time. That's a great call by you, Alec, by the way. As Kaprizov gets robbed, and then Boldy is in the mix, and the fists are starting to be thrown. And let me get a number on this for the Avalanche. Parker Kelly, he missed his first punch. He punched the referee, and then he sucker punched Boldy after. That's why Boldy was so upset.
I don't blame Boldy for that, because Parker Kelly punching at Matt Boldy right after the referee. Come on. I know Boldy, he was intending to go after Kelly. Kelly, he did punch the referee. And Boldy might get, in a normal world, would get two for roughing. Instead of sucker punch, that could be two penalties at once. One for roughing and another for abuse of officials.
Yeah, the refs are being very lenient. I understand as you get around in the playoffs that less penalties will be called, but you can't just sucker punch the referee and Matt Boldy. But Parker Kelly, I guess, got away with it. Here's a rush for the Avs. It's a 2-on-1. Drury doesn't make the pass across, and this doesn't hit Gustafsson. 41-45, penalties killed. Now racing the other way, Spurgeon. This is hit up high for Wedgwood. Now we're going to go end-to-end here. Nathan MacKinnon gets sticked away and then taken down on the left side boards. MacKinnon trying to emerge with it. And finally intercepted Marcus Johansson on the left side red line. He has worked off the puck. Here's Brett Kulak getting a piece. As this goes behind the net for Trennan, Colorado escapes the pressure. They'll send it down the ice. We'll see if it's far enough to blow it dead. Yes, it is. Quinn Hughes gets the hybrid ice right at 13 minutes.
Colorado has killed 41 of their last 45 penalties. What a tremendous job by this penalty killing group, led by Parker Kelly and Jack Drury at the forward side. And Devon Taves and Brent Burns, even though we don't see the two of them together at the same time, they've been excellent in their own right.
The defense, as we mentioned in the last 5 minutes, has picked up. Now the physicality into the first 7 minutes of this third period has certainly been amplified. Devontae's game 1, a goal and 3 assists, 4 points, 28 minutes of TOI, and now he's with his defensive partner in Cale Makar. His backhand does not get out. Boldy intercepts. He's got it in the high slot, sends the pass across. That's like the 5th pirouette for Hughes. Now he shoots. It actually breaks the stick of one of the Wild. Now it's Nathan MacKinnon again, a 1-against-2. He spins. He gets knocked aside by Quinn Hughes. And I think he might have drawn a call. It's another tripping. And this one's going to belong to the Avalanche. They go to a power play.
Oh, man. The hits just keep on coming for Minnesota. Quinn Hughes does a pirouette of his own, but he doesn't even fake out one of the Avalanche. That shot actually knocked the stick broken of one of the Wild as MacKinnon, he spun around Hughes, and the penalty doesn't come until seconds later after the matter of fact. But it was further back beyond the play.
Matt Zuccarello gets busted for the trip, and as you said, you just called for Zuccarello getting his stick broken from Quinn Hughes' shot. Then the only thing he could do, because he's got no stick, is if you pick it up, that's an automatic penalty, is push the bowling pins out of the way as we get another camera shot of that sucker punch before we go to break.
Oh, man. Matt Boldy somewhere may still be wondering why Kelly wasn't penalized for roughing or abuse of officials at that point. Oh, my goodness. That looked like if you're reminding us of famous pros, that kind of is like the Jose Batista, Rooney Odor scruffle between Toronto and Texas.
I think you're exactly right. That's what that punch looks like. Somebody's getting knocked out.
Or Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson, for that matter.
That was another good one, too. But after that happened, I was like, what the heck is going on with Tim Anderson? At one time, he was a all-star for the Chicago White Sox, and then the next point, he wasn't even in the league anymore.
That's just crazy.
So 7:26 is the official time of the latest penalty. It'll be the third power play for the Avs. They are currently 1 for 2. Zuccarello gets the trip on Artturi Lehkonen.
Yeah, so Minnesota, they need to keep this up on the penalty kill. They did score shorthanded last game. The sweet thing for Minnesota is that they can get back into this game with another shorthanded goal. You don't see that all the time, but scoring a shorthanded goal is just a sweet feeling of nectar.
Are you calling it, Alec?
Well, not guaranteeing it, but let's say if Marcus Foligno strikes again shorthanded.
That would be a heck of a call by you. It's a long shot there. Played by Wedgwood, and now Necas to Makar and MacKinnon. Find the entry. Here's Gabe Landeskog off the drop for Cale. One more for Marty Necas. Necas will hold near the left side dot and survey. Throws it back to the point for Cale Makar. Necas clapper. It was Gustafsson sliding the wrong way. Still made the save as it went to the wild bench.
The shot disparity is wide open for Minnesota, 27-17, and we're seeing the definition of goalie. 27 shots, and only one that went by Scott Wedgwood. But Marty Necas has been a machine on the speed dial burst of it. And a one-timer, yes, Gustafsson didn't move the wrong way. He still made the save, though.
Necas got it now off the faceoff win. Same on the left dot. Picked up by MacKinnon trying to get around two players. Kadri joins in on the fray. He's got power play numero uno time. Here's Makar. Now for number 91. Nazem, 6 set of hands. Leaves for Landeskog. Back at the bumper. MacKinnon with a robbery. That is Gustafsson in a one-timer in the middle of the slot. Didn't even have to move. Wedgwood now will stop it. Both of these power plays might not always get the goals that they want, but they're starting to look really good as far as their sets and designs. Marty Necas off the drop. Here's MacKinnon. Off the 1-on-4, finds the entry. He gets around the collapse. Now Kadri, right side dot. Bumper to Makar, high slot. Makar, on number 91. That's Nazem. Left side dot for the captaincy and Landeskog. He's taken down. And against the wall, Kadri in tight to Necas near the right circle. Kadri now loses the puck. This will be cleared back down. It'll be a rush for it. Wedgwood going to have to come out of his goal crease. They'll leave some time there for Cale Makar. One touch there, just get it out of the zone, and Minnesota can start again. Certainly seems like they've killed the Colorado power play because they're going to nail this the length of the ice. It's down to the glove hand from Wedgwood to Sam Malinski. By the time Malinski enters, the power play will expire. Here's Brock Nelson off the drop from Artturi Lehkonen, and this will be knocked away. Trennan will get this one down. To the left side dot. Lehkonen lost it. Picked up now off the bump as this will be settled down for Zuccarello near the left side of the boards. One of the Colorado players gets pressed. Zuccarello now trying to force the steal as Devontae's shot gets blocked on the left side blue line. 10-10 left to go in the third. Big check. And behind the right side red line, Lehkonen's still being worked over here, and the puck is underneath one of the Wild. We'll give you a number on that in a moment as the play gets blown dead. I thought I saw Foligno down there. Yes, he is. He's being dwarfed by the Zebras and Colorado. And as we step aside for a commercial half and a half at 10:05, I'll leave the rest to you.
Oh, man. It started with Quinn Hughes being hounded down with 10:05 left in the third period, right behind the net. On someone's shoes right after a matter of fact, because Minnesota didn't like the way that Quinn Hughes was hit towards the boards. That was dangerous.
Yeah, it was. And then Nico Sturm, he cross-checked Lehkonen about 5 times.
I mean, he thought that Lehkonen was the one who hit Hughes towards the boards. Like, come on, man. What you doing to him?
You got to protect your superstars on both sides because they're the ones that can turn this game in any sort of direction. There's still time for Minnesota with 10:05 left. You get set to take it away. They got to act quickly over the next 5 minutes.
They have to. They have to score twice in the Final 10 minutes of regulation, they were to force overtime 3 times if it is a win in regulation. Crazy things have happened in the playoffs because we saw Dallas erase a 2-goal deficit to win 4-2 in Game 7 last year. That was the Mikko Rantanen revenge game. Quinn Hughes' possession time is 2 minutes and 51 seconds. As his faceoff is to the left of Philip Gustafsson. Colorado has won 32 faceoffs. Minnesota is now up to 21. Settled down by Faber. He spins around and whips a pass up front for Hughes. Hughes stops on a dive in the near half boards. Excuse me, that was Zuccarello. Zuccarello blasts this one back, but it's picked up by Landeskog, the Avs captain, trying to skip around too wild. It reaches Gustafsson. He wants Kaprizov. Instead, he'll get this further to Faber. Faber sends this near side for Hartman. Will flip it down for Wedgwood. Play this one wide. And it's Malinski who beat this one out. Cleared out by Colorado. Minnesota will reset. Only 1 of 27 shots have made it past Wedgwood. Here's Kirill Kaprizov. Cross ice. It'll be moved up towards the far corner by Matt Boldy. He and Kaprizov on the ice at the same time as this one-timer is forced wide by Waugh. Waugh trying to clear out, but can't. Held inside by Boldy. Matt Boldy trying to skip around. He does beat it back over to Marcus Johansson. Fires one that's high and wide. Boldy on the whole far half board. Beats it behind. Johansson dangerously places towards the plate. Johansson tied up. 32 seconds of zone time. Forced behind. Jurov plays this one at the far corner. Gets it behind for Hughes. Quinn Hughes walks the line on his backhand. Trip it down at the right circle. Oh, man! That gets the crowd up on their feet. Johansson will pick it up from his own zone. And even if this was icing, they don't care if they ice it. They were fired up after that hit. Big blast there. Michael Makar sends this deep. Here's Scott Littrell playing this out. Brent Burns fighting Parker Kelly. Nazem Kadri. Kadri walks the middle. He wanted to feed it to the right, but Ken, there was a stick in the way. Kadri gets it back from 97's office. Kadri gets a bunch of penalty coming up against Minnesota. It's a one-timer from deep. Gustafsson the save. And when we come back, the Avalanche will go on another power play. Nazem Kadri got wiped out hard.
Yeah, he got hooked, looks like right in the mouth. I'm waiting for the official call here. The door is going to be open. As you said, somebody from Minnesota is going to go into the sin bin. But I'm looking at this again once we get another replay. It is Nathan MacKinnon. That looks like to be a hook on Tarasenko. I think he's going to go to the box. So 91 on 91 crime. But Nathan MacKinnon was the one that blew up Quinn Hughes on the right dot. That's a good check for the Nate Dog.
We talk of superstars making their presence felt. Normally it is going to come by goal scoring. We didn't think it was going to be from hits. But as we've seen from postseasons past, Connor McDavid has thrown the body around at times. Now it's Nathan MacKinnon's turn, John.
That's a clean shoulder to shoulder there. I like that for Nathan MacKinnon. And again, we officially got that signal there. It's Vlad Tarasenko. He's going to sit in the box for a high stick.
So we will return with Colorado going on another power play, and this has been becoming a theme here, John, this third period. Minnesota is taking bad penalties in the most crucial spots of this third period.
I know it's easy to say, but I'm just going to point out the obvious. Just too many weapons for Colorado to try to deal with, Alec?
We don't know about that, but the Colorado, they're not really a good power play team, but they do have the weapons to make anyone pay for undisciplined penalties. Maybe this could be the time in which they make Minnesota pay.
Because I'll be honest, I mean, I said this earlier. I don't think Minnesota's playing all that poorly, but as you said, notwithstanding in this third period, starting to commit infractions. Wedgwood, that's about as good of a bounce back game as you can have, because they asked a few days ago when Rick Bowness was on the TNT crew. They do a good job there in between everybody else with Anson Carter and all those guys there too. But he said, you got to go back to Wedgwood anyway. He's already 5-0 in the postseason. 26-27 is about as good as it gets. And a couple of those chances that Minnesota had, probably about, I would say, 7-8 power play saves. A lot of those were point blank. I mean, you could easily argue that Wedgwood probably could give up a couple. and that this game could at least be within one, but I think he's been an X factor.
He has, and a very pleasant surprise for Minnesota, or excuse me, Colorado. I'm getting the two teams mixed up, but a very pleasant surprise for Colorado because when we expected Colorado to make the playoffs, we think normally that's because of the goaltending play of Mackenzie Blackwood. Well, reality is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, they've been so good on both sides. Now we get to see what happens here. I believe now for a fourth power play opportunity for the Avs.
And Quinn Hughes so far has totaled 24:37 of ice time. Brock Faber a minute less. Face-off won by the Wild. And they could use some face-off wins because they're going to need that in the absence of Joe Eriksson. They're asking Danila Yurov to step up at second line to take over the minutes in Eriksson's absence. He should be in line to return by Game 3, however. But the chances of stealing Game 2 are fleeting away from him. Gabe Landeskog. He wanted MacKinnon. Faber was in the way. Comes back to Makar. Nice save by MacKinnon on this puck. Necas to MacKinnon. Looks back for Necas and finds him at the left circle. He and MacKinnon trade places. MacKinnon sitting up in the net front. MacKinnon calling for it. He wanted to go back for Necas. Does so. Feeds it back for Makar. And they start the play all over again. All the way back towards the point. And I've been doing this for the last several days. But my computer at times would freeze at frames. And which is supposed to be playing. So, John, you're going to have to take over for a few minutes.
Okay, 6:40 left to go in the third. Landeskog missed there, but Nathan MacKinnon does not. It's a power play goal as he slams home the 1T from just outside the left dot. It's 4-1 Avs.
Well, from a result, 4-1 Avalanche. And I'm glad to have you here because in the Buffalo-Boston game, this was the exact scenario when it came to the third period, which the computer would freeze up at certain freeze frames, and I was not able to properly call the action. But MacKinnon was there wide open, receiving a feed, and to make it 4-1.
And Nazem Kadri, again, he gets hooked in the face and then gets a primary as that shot gets blasted. No chance for Gustafsson to lift the glove. I do feel bad for Minnesota in one respect. We talked about Jesper Wallstedt getting lit up like a Christmas tree, and then a 9-6 loss. And really, Gustafsson, and this hurts to say, but I'm going to say it honestly, he's not faring much better.
Well, for Minnesota, I have to say for them, you have to go back to Jesper Wallstedt for Game 3. There's no other choice that you can go through. Philip Gustafsson, yes, he's been good in the regular season, but under the bright lights, the worry I had for him is that he finds the lights brighter than expected in the playoffs.
Yeah, you can't have that against a team like this because I'll tell you, if Colorado wins again in the next few nights again as Alec profile, that's not going to happen until Saturday. So that's probably a good thing for Minnesota to be able to hit the reset button and give Wallstedt that much rest. But if they play like this again and they get goaltending like this again, they're going to go down 3-0, and Colorado might win the first 8 games of their playoff round as this goes back down. If anything clears up for you, Alec, I'll let you take over again. If not, I'll just jump back in as Boldy picked this up now from O'Connor. Now, long outstretched pass, so this will be flipped back down amongst the inboards. This will be tied up. Here, Trenton try to get a piece of it near the right side. Johansson has it, throws it in the high slot, but the Colorado sticks are everywhere. Excellent work there for Logan O'Connor. Sent back on there. One-timer! Oh, they lost somebody out in front, and that was Johansson. It was great work until it wasn't. I don't know how Minnesota got that pass off, but in the middle of the slot, talking right on top of the goal crease, it's Johansson against Wedgwood. It's 4-2. The only question now at 5:27 is there enough time left?
All right, now my computer is back on again with 5:30 left. There's a great feed out front, and Minnesota gets on the board. They respond. Marcus Johansson, who was all alone at the bottom of the slot. Maybe something if they were to carry on momentum onto Game 3. Should this just a monumental collapse not happen? But I'm not going to tempt fate any further.
And Daniel Yurov looked like Magic Johnson there. How did he make that pass?
He had eyes on the back of his head, and with Brett Kulak tied up right behind him. And Kulak is an underrated trade piece that Pittsburgh and Colorado got in the Tristan Jarry for Stuart Skinner trade. Kulak has fitted seamlessly, whether it be on the top pair of Cale Makar or the second pair with Sam Malinski. It's just a match made in heaven for the Avs.
You said you want to take over again, Alec?
Yep, my computer's
Go
back
ahead.
and working.
Take it away.
5:27 left, third period. Is Michael McCarron looking to write this the rest of the way? 4-2, the Colorado lead. And thanks to my computer acting up, and do keep in mind that my computer has battled through a faulty update on Windows 11. And let's be real, Windows 11 isn't really the best operating system to have these days, in my opinion, as I prefer Windows 10. And as at this time we're on Google TV, I wish you have another phone to get the play-by-play going, because it doesn't happen on phones, only on computers. I tried this with my desktop, same thing happened, unfortunately, about the times that they freeze and frames in which I didn't want me to. This problem didn't happen with HBO Max, however. And on ESPN, it does happen, only there, but not HBO Max. With ESPN Plus, it's not a problem. Slap pass down low, and Wedgwood stopped it. Kaprizov tied up. Necas held the arm up in the air. I think this is going to go against Minnesota, I think. Yes. 4:26 left.
Oh my goodness. Kirill Kaprizov just scored for Johansson. Kirill Kaprizov gets a cross check right in the face of Cale Makar.
You cannot do that in the waiting moments of a game. And I know that ESPN is supposed to be fair and unbiased, but deep inside Eric Johnson, he's got to be happy that the Avalanche are on a power play.
I don't have to expect Eric Johnson to work without bias, just for Bob Hughes, and he's the professional. Eric Johnson, you know he's rooting for the Avs.
Yeah, I mean, he is a former Avalanche defenseman. He won a Stanley Cup with them, and deep inside, he is rooting for the Avs. And yeah, Bob Hughes, and all props to him. He calls as professionally as he can be. Someone make him the #1 announcer for the NHL on ESPN. He's long overdue for it.
I'm not going to say anything disparaging for anyone else in our field. I don't think Sean McDonough is bad, but I don't think Sean McDonough deserves to be over Bob Hughes. I don't think that's anywhere close. I would say the same thing as far as Emily Kaplan. She's #1 as far as sideline reporting for ESPN. It's Bob Hughes and Emily Kaplan 1 and 2.
Yeah, and that leaves Ray Ferraro as #1 as well.
Yes.
So I'll say Bob Hughes is #1. Let's say Mike Monaco #2.
I would agree. I think that's where I would put it too. Because again, you can talk about everything else across the board for the other sports on TNT. And I think John Forsland is terrific there. I'd like to see him get some more time. But I think he was spending some time with some family before he gets back on TNT side of the sports.
Yeah, I guess he was. And nothing wrong with spending time with family. It's good to spend time with family at times.
It's going to be another Colorado power play. You take it away.
So in the meantime, before we get to the Colorado power play, just a quick update. It is 84-72 OKC. They lead it against the Lakers starting the fourth quarter. And this is the part where we see OKC's defense get their intensity up. Here is Necas. Down low for MacKinnon. One more Kadri. Oh, would that be something? Johansson made the save, but would that be something had Kadri scored for a second straight game in this second round series? Makar starts up. Will we see MacKinnon or Necas turn on the afterburners? It is Necas with it. Well, he'll take it himself. He's going to wait for MacKinnon. He gets cut away by McCarron. And this is where McCarron has to go. He instead fires it from 80 feet. He'll be picked up by Marcus Foligno. Marcus, tied up by 3 Avs. The puck came loose to MacKinnon. He's going to wait for everyone else to set up. And here he comes with the afterburners. Drops it off for Necas. He has afterburners himself too. Another drop pass gets knocked away. The intended man was MacKinnon. And Devon Taves is going to be comfortable running some clock out. 1 minute left on this power play. 3:23 in the game. Brock Nelson, who has some wheels of his own too, to his credit. Malinski sends this towards the far corner. Malinski sends it over to Lehkonen. Lehkonen backing around. Far side is Malinski, who sends it to Nichushkin. Now Nichushkin for Artturi Lehkonen. Back to the point is Taves. Right point Malinski. These two defensemen control the points. Cycle towards the left circle for Nichushkin. Nichushkin walking with this puck. Killing some time. Taves on receiving it for Malinski. Taves one more time. Malinski again. On the top of the right circle. A blast! And that was blocked in front. Might have hit Gustafsson. And Nelson keeps this in. Nichushkin feeds it across for Taves. Where we go to? Centering pass. Lehkonen gets robbed by Gustafsson. A chance to get a second power play goal in this third period. Could not transpire. Nichushkin can't play this out for Malinski. 1 second left on the Avs power play.
Well, you could say this about Gustafsson as Wedgwood will be forced to hold on the other end. So give me some time here for Lehkonen. That was an absolute robbery. He said Gustafsson hasn't played the best game. I still can't figure how Lehkonen is wide open near the right side down. I think we'll get the live look here off the play off the bumper to Nazem Kadri. He's just unaccounted for, and somehow Gustafsson makes the save near the right post.
Wedgwood is forced to hang on to the puck at this left post, but what a chance by Artturi Lehkonen on that power play to make it 5-2. Minnesota hasn't played a bad defensive game by any means, but Scott Wedgwood has been by far and away, arguably, the best player in this game.
I will say shame on ESPN because I was waiting for that replay. We never got one. So Minnesota has to now pull the netminder, Alec, and it's 2:14 left.
Covered by Wedgwood on a great chance. My.
You just talked about Wedgwood there right off the one-timer.
Empty for the Wild.
Go ahead.
Yep, Wedgwood off the one-timer stick. David MacKinnon, a goal and 2 assists. He has a strong argument for player of the game.
He sure does. You can give it to anybody in Colorado. They look pretty good.
And Gustafsson on the bench, 6 skaters on the ice. Ryan Hartman, 9 of 20. Brock Nelson's been Colorado's best faceoff man. He's now 12 of 14 after that faceoff win. Cycle towards the far corner, and this is rolling out the center. This is wide up the empty net. Touched by Faber. No icing because one of the Wild players touched the puck beyond the red line. Less than 2 minutes to go. Off the far side, this is not dropped. Here's Kaprizov. Kaprizov sends this towards the near side. Faber, back down deep. Wild trying to pull off a miracle. Backing around to Boldy. At the right circle. Boldy in the corner. Boldy gets back towards the right point. Faber. Boldy looks. Surveys back to for Faber. Faber lets one go. Wide. He was looking for the punch, and Hughes got it over towards the far corner. It is Zuccarello who backhands back for Hughes. Hughes keeps this one alive for Faber. Faber cycles around for Boldy. Olympic gold medalist with the United States, MacKinnon sidesteps on Boldy and levels him out the way. Clear it down into the vacant crease, and will not be icing. Boldy is very slow to get up. Minnesota has to wait because he injured Boldy as he got out of the zone. He falls down, but not before he gets out of the zone on time. 1 minute left as it's backhanded out to the Minnesota zone, and Quinn Hughes forces an icing. Nathan MacKinnon, my goodness.
I got to tell you, Alec, 2 times we saw that. He rocks Quinn Hughes near the right side down, which was one. That was a good hit. Boldy got all of the end boards from that shove from Nathan MacKinnon, and that was all sorts of clean. Boldy, it took him a solid 10 seconds to get up from that, and he's also been sucker punched in this period.
He's seen everything, all sorts of bad, and he fell down with trying to exit the zone too.
Yes.
A timeout is called by the Wild, no surprise, but Matt Boldy has to be having the most painful time in this game.
I'm going to be honest here, too. I don't think Nathan MacKinnon threw hits that hard, but he is playing like an absolute demon.
And he does a good job keeping his elbow tucked.
Yes.
So that's not an elbowing penalty.
No, he's been flawless. He does everything well. and now Minnesota on life support.
They're now 1-0 in this series. Colorado is staring at a 2-0 series lead. So the whiteboard is officially pulled away. The timeout is over. So everybody's getting back on the ice. Jack Capuano, the associate coach of the Wild, I believe he was the one getting the whiteboard out. And the Avs fans are getting the pom-poms out. They wave pom-poms, not towels. Boldy is 2 of 9 on faceoffs. MacKinnon 5 of 13. Who comes down here with the puck? Boldy, quick shot, then again a bunch of that. And rushing his puck is Faber, keeping his one alive. Matt Boldy frees up space. Quinn Hughes throws one toward his net, and that's fired wide on the deflection. Bouncing puck, forced back to center. Quinn Hughes forced further back by now Nichushkin. 35 seconds left until it's wraps. In all likelihood, unless a miracle happens, Ryan Hartman can't get this team at bounce block one the ass. Fed up by Hughes as he swept this one around Wedgwood. 20 seconds left. Lehkonen shoved away Boldy. Backhanded deeper to the left circle as Minnesota tried to keep this alive. Fired on deep, and that's wide to go. 10 seconds left. Nichushkin can just fire this down. And this one's going to the empty net. And it's in! That'll do it!
Nichushkin from 200 feet. Welcome to you, good sir. 4.4 left. It's 5-2 Colorado. It was all Avs as they roll again. My goodness.
Oh, that's a flawless defensive game
Yes.
by Colorado. And they held their own defensive zone. We speak of the Avs offense. They've been electric and have come alive here the last 3 games, including tonight. And this game has cemented their status as the team to beat in the playoffs. If you're going to have to get to the Stanley Cup, it runs by them. The President's Trophy curse hasn't bitten, but the Colorado Avalanche have joined the Carolina Hurricanes as the only teams to remain unbeaten in the Stanley Cup playoffs through their first 6 games.
We got a long way to go before we potentially get to Colorado, Carolina. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm going to tell you honestly now. I said Minnesota had to win this game today to get back in the series. Now, they could, from Saturday, win a game 3, but if you're asking me to only lose one more game and get 4 wins against Colorado, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not happening.
And it's not like this is a series in which we're going to see reminiscent of 2014 when Patrick Waugh was the head coach of the Avalanche, when he employed the strategy of pulling the goaltender earlier than normal. That's when it was introduced. Pulling the goalie with 2.5 minutes left in the game. Now every team knows that strategy.
I'm going to agree with you, as you said in the beginning. We talked about it earlier, before we go here on this post game. Game 3 is not till Saturday, and that schedule quirk, I think, gives Minnesota a lot of time to regroup. Boy, do they need it. There was times where I thought throughout most of this game they did not play poorly, but they gave up too many penalties, especially in that third. I would go back to Jesper Wallstedt, and I will say, even though Gustafsson made a great save on Artturi Lehkonen a couple minutes ago before that, I don't think it's enough. You go with Wallstedt. If he doesn't get the job done, you still got one more game. But boy, does this series feel like it's over.
Well, nothing's over until the fat lady croaks. But at this point, Minnesota is in a dire hole against a Colorado machine. They need to win these next 2 games at home if they were to get back in this series. There are series in which the home team wins every game. We saw that last year between Winnipeg and St. Louis, and 4 years ago between Carolina and Boston. So it is far from over.
But you're on record, though. I'll give you that. But you're on record saying that they got to win the next 2 games at XL.
Yes, I'm on record saying they have to win these next 2 at home.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure to split the difference there because I'm not going to argue with you. I do feel Minnesota's a great team. I'd like to see them come back. I'm a little concerned, is all I'm saying here. But we will be back tomorrow. At least I will for the side for Vegas and Anaheim. Anaheim's going to need a response, and I expect Jackson McComb to play much better. And take those shots because that's what he's going to need to do. I'll see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow. And if you're tuning into my stream, you'll be tuning into Buffalo, Montreal for those tuning into my side. So I'll see you then tomorrow.
Yeah, so we got double digits. We got it all covered across. So make sure you say hello to both of us and make sure you give Alec the lion's share of the follows and company because it's good to have him back. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
See you then.
5-2. Colorado wins it, and they look good. Alex said they got to win both. I would agree with him there. I just don't know what's going to happen next year for Minnesota. I don't see how it works out for them, but we'll find out, and that'll be as early as Saturday when they get started again when I got my NHL assignment. You guys be good. See you tomorrow. Peace.